whip in the front seat, get my meals, I'm gunning for the money in the bank. Come on with a dank, scrolling in the tank, rolling with the gang. You sit and I on the sideline tripping, I go to the hole with the rock like Pippin. Yeah. I'm okay.
My favorite.
What up, and welcome to Woodward Heavyweights Live on Motorsports.com. I'm Easy, joined by Spimo Rex.
Hello.
Young Chris, Nicholas Kohloff.
Let's go.
A.K.A. Detroit Mario. We also have Caleb in the building.
What's going on?
Just another day without pizza, clearly.
That's true.
It's
This was raining today.
No, it's actually a gorgeous day outside.
Beautiful day outside.
He just was never going to get us pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Beer's on you Friday.
Sounds
That's
good.
my
That's
favorite.
redemption. Couple questions. And obviously, this is like the dead period of sports. We do have some exciting news about Kenta Maeda
Yep.
that we'll give our fresh opinions on, but let's fucking go!
Yep. Easy wanted him sent back to where he came from.
Back to Guardians.
He got sent to the bullpen. So Kenta Maeda officially, it was originally announced by Evan Pressold, who is the foremost authority in Tigers beat reporting other than Matthew Broder. And it was awesome to see that because, yeah, this is a guy who should not be on the tit every fifth day. This is a guy now that he should only come in if we're down 5-0.
Brother, if it's to a point where like I'm the one saying it, the guy who doesn't watch baseball regularly, like it's a fucking issue.
Yeah.
I mean, I hated him since the fucking first time he pitched for us, but
That's my favorite.
I'm gonna allow Caleb to speak on it because that's literally his favorite.
Yeah, he's one of the worst pitchers, like starting pitchers I've seen toe the rubber in a long time. I'm hoping maybe he can progress in the bullpen, maybe get his stuff back in the bullpen, but I don't know. I don't see it. I don't think he has any more juice. He doesn't have fastball. The splitter sucks. No off speed. Can't throw the off speed for strikes really. Yeah, and he was decent on the Dodgers when he was coming out of the bullpen, but we'll see. I don't know. Like Spenny said, he's probably going to have that role where he comes in when we're up 5, like the Joey Wentz.
He's going to be your long relief, and
Yeah.
long relief means when your starter gets shelled, you're going to bring in Kenta Maeda. So
That's my favorite.
that's my favorite.
Yeah, that's the part I know because I get and I asked for it yesterday. Obviously, like, can we just fucking sit him down? Can we
Bless you.
fucking chip him off? Like, can
Thank
we
you.
do something with him that he's not on the field every 5 days, or just not even on the fucking team. This is as close as we get to it. And that's the thing, too, with AJ Hinch, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong or not. He's so, like, he's very strategic when he's going to that bullpen, like who he's picking out there. And I think that allows Kenta Maeda to see. Like, we're not going to see him often,
No.
I guess.
No, he's not going to be a frequent piece out of that bullpen at all.
And it should be that way. Him and Javi Baez taking up close to $50 million in that cap space.
Exactly. That's where I wanted to go with it, Easy. This is a step in the right direction when it comes to players not performing and getting at least a little demotion for it. Going to the bullpen, you're not going to see them every 5th day. It's a positive sight for this organization moving forward that we don't have to see Kenta Maeda.
Yeah, they're holding a veteran accountable, and that's all you can ask. Like, when these guys go out there and they're not performing and they're constantly getting shelled or they're just not doing their job, you got to hold them accountable at some point. And at least I feel like AJ Hinch walked up to Scott Harris and Chris Ilitch and was like, "Hey guys, we can't keep doing this. We can't keep putting him out on the mound every 5th day. Let me do something with him." And they're like, "All right, you can send him to the bullpen." And so he did.
Well, for the record, he shouldn't be on the team anymore. If we're serious, he should be cut.
Yes.
But
we're not serious.
But we're not serious, and Chris Ilitch should eat that contract. Same with Javi Baez.
But he won't.
He'll
just keep eating pizza.
Nick.
Bitch.
Yep.
Pizza, bitch.
You should be Jesse from Breaking Bad for Halloween, but just carry around pizza and say bitch. Pizza, bitch.
I think you're right in that sense. These two guys should not be in the lineup every day. That's, obviously Javi plays, he's a positional player, but they shouldn't be playing. But at least we don't have to see Kenta Maeda go out there every 5 days. But this was the biggest mess up when it comes to Scott Harris in the offseason. He had faith that Kenta Maeda at a very high age was going to keep up his production of the past. And he clearly is not the same pitcher. And if he can't do it with Chris Fetter, something's really wrong here.
Yeah.
We have 12 consecutive games after the trade deadline. after the break, I should say.
That's tough.
That is tough.
That's tough. That's gonna
Without
be
a day off,
Yeah.
he's gonna get a start in there somewhere.
Yeah, I think he's probably gonna get a start on
What about Brisky?
Sunday. I think Brisky will be the
Brisky,
guy.
Faedo,
Manny.
maybe Manning or that kid they brought up. What's his name?
Montero.
Yeah.
I think Montero's I think Montero took Mize's spot because Mize is on the IL. I think it could be Brisky moving to that starting spot, but I think I wouldn't be surprised if Maeda started Sunday because it's a bullpen game Sunday, so he might be used as a starter.
Oh, God.
I could see, to that point, Caleb, I could see Joey Wentz starting it off
which is not much better.
Yeah.
better than Maeda.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's like,
I just looked it up too. He can't go down to Toledo without his consent.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what the contract is.
He needs
So
consent.
he's
That's
just
my
on the
favorite.
Yeah, he should be cut.
Yeah,
I could
absolutely.
understand like Baez's contract not being like it's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
This is a lot more like palatable.
Yes.
12 million.
Yeah. I mean, you're not
Cut him.
spending it anyway, so you might
Yeah.
as well use it on Maeda. But yeah, no, I'm not actively rooting against the guy, but it comes to a certain point where he's unwatchable, and it makes me not want to watch the Tigers when he's throwing. So hopefully he can find his stuff in the bullpen, and we'll see.
We're so back, though.
We are back. We
so
are
back.
back.
Yeah.
You wanna
We
talk
are
about
back.
that?
Indeed back. I mean, we're going to.
Hey,
we got a
plus
full-
20,000. We're winning the AL Central. Come
There
on.
you go. Plus 20,000. You heard
I'll
Juice's
put
guarantee.
5 on that.
Juice's guarantee. Put it on the Tigers to win the AL Central.
I
No,
put it in a stripper's underwear before. I'll put 5 on the Tigers for the Central right now. I like that.
that's my favorite.
My buddy from Texas texted me that today. Hey, I have a feeling they could be a really
Bro, it's a long
It was
season.
for the wild card though. Like, all right, it was to make the playoffs. Is what he texted me. I was like, dude, after the deadline, I don't think you're gonna be saying this, but today's a good day to be a Tiger fan. I'm gonna try to celebrate it with positives today.
Hey, if we can keep going after the Indians like that, that'll be a pretty. How much
Whoa,
further back
dude.
are we now on the
The
Indians?
Guards.
The Guardians.
On the
shit.
what?
Sorry.
Oh,
Wow. What's wrong with
we
you?
were like going from this guy telling them to fucking send them back to where they belong.
to the Guardians.
To the Guardians. How far back are we now of the Guardians?
13 or
I
14.
thought it was 14 before we beat them at all. And we just beat them 3 times.
Let me double check here.
Let me check.
We're 13 back.
Jesus.
Oh,
All
the
right.
Twins. He's with the Twins. I thought he was with the Guardians. Oops.
I mean, they
Send back
threw
some
out
Twins.
they threw out some very bad pitching. Honestly, like I think the Twins are gonna overtake them in the Central.
Hell yeah.
And you know what the Twins did back in the day?
What did they do?
They gave up the bag for Carlos Correa, All-Star, which we went
we
on the
didn't.
cheap side with Javier
We
Baez.
gave up the bag for Javier Baez.
Full
He
circle.
He just sucks.
So stupid.
Everything comes
Yeah,
back around full circle.
We got the extreme off-brand version who hits like
That's my
200
favorite.
lower of an OPS.
Yeah, it's true.
Team USA played last night.
Team USA played last night. Caleb's like, yeah, they're getting their ass whooped by Canada.
Dude, they didn't make a shot for
They,
like
they were
3
down like
minutes.
for a
4
minute.
points.
No, they were down like 12, and they didn't make a shot for like 3 minutes.
He's like, he made me think that it was like a 25-0 game. Like, yeah, they're getting their ass whooped by Team Canada.
Canada
already.
does have a nice squad, though.
They got a pretty
have
decent
They got a
squad.
nice squad.
And that's with Wiggins hurt, by the way. Like,
Yeah, that was no Kevin Durant for Team USA.
it's so funny too. I think you're the one that posted it, Spinny. My man, he's in the Rockets now. I can't think
Dylan
of his name right
Brooks?
now. Yes, just still getting shit on.
Still getting shit
Still
on.
looking salty.
Yeah, still looking salty. Yep, boy, still looking salty. Shout out Team USA. They went out there. Anthony Edwards came in,
I sent you some, Chris. We
started
just-
taking care of business.
I'm sorry, I'm sending it late to you. Yeah, Anthony Edwards, fucking. I love that kid, dude.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards is the man.
It's a shame Wemby's like in the league because he's probably not gonna see a ring without teaming up with him. Wemby's gonna be like the Patrick Mahomes of the Western Conference. I feel like either he's going
Yeah, well, geez.
or like, nah, he's just gonna go. I don't know. You have to make it through him, I guess.
He's
in the
definitely
future.
going to be a stalwart for the finals. But
Bro, I used to like be a denier of it too until like recently. It's fucking ridiculous.
yeah, I don't know what took you so long. After his first game, I was like, all right, yeah, he's the real deal.
I used
Why
to,
you doing that?
He had like 6 blocks in his first game. I was like, okay.
Yeah. No, he's gonna be fucking. Like even if he goes to the finals and lose, it's still like I don't know if you're gonna make it out of the West unless you're super teaming it. Is he playing for France in the Olympics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Victor is?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
That's exciting.
That is exciting. I want to see you. That like I wasn't rooting against Canada, which by the way, shout out to my son Bryson.
Why would you not be rooting against Canada? They were playing Team USA.
I wanted.
Communist.
It's like playing with your food a little bit because you know Team USA is always going to win.
Syrup drinker.
I just want a good game. I didn't know. I wasn't rooting against USA.
Goddamn pine cone sniffer.
But now because
Labatt
Bryson, my
Light,
son, to mess with me,
drinker.
every time I'm rooting
relax.
for my team, he
that's-
automatically
well,
takes to
that's
their
good.
team. And last
Molson.
night, he had a scolding.
No, yeah,
Rooting for Canada.
You gotta let him know.
Yeah, I was like, no!
Yeah, yeah.
That's my favorite!
That's my favorite. No, this is Team USA all the way. So, yeah,
Which,
it's cool to see.
he is a Curry fan. I was trying to watch LeBron, but Curry's the one doing shit when he was looking.
Yeah, kids love Curry, man.
He'd be an Edwards fan, too. He
They-
will be.
They played Not Like Us too after the win.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude, that song is becoming patriotic now on top of everything else.
yeah, for
like,
sure. What do you mean?
like it's like no, but I'm saying like it's just every layer. It's just bad because this song's just gonna live forever.
Yeah.
After the Chicago Sky versus Indiana Fever game, I saw the end of it, and they were playing it after Angel Reese beat
Bro,
Caitlin
they're
Clark.
playing in the Euro Cup.
They played it when Drake bet on Argentina to win.
It was
or-
wild.
Why was your degenerate ass watching Chicago Sky
he
versus
bet it.
Indiana
You already
Fever?
know.
No, it was a close game at the end. I did not bet on it. I wanted to see who was going to win.
I was watching the
Actually-
WNBA.
Yes,
Wait.
Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark. It was like the
Yeah.
last 4 minutes. I turned it on my phone, ESPN, because I got this
Come
stream.
on, like 2 Sundays ago?
Yes.
Yeah, I
and
watched that
at
shit
the
too.
end, not like us. I tried to make a tweet about it, but my phone was all effed up.
No, you were all effed up.
It was a Sunday, so I wasn't.
Regardless, Team USA, Curry, LeBron give us this moment. And is it just me or did you guys was this not a beautiful fucking sight to see?
Let's see.
Watching it
I think
live.
it's just you.
No, I think it's just me, man. LeBron to Curry. Just two fucking all-time greats. I don't know, man. I just
Let him
thought it was
cook.
beautiful. What could have been.
Yeah, it's dope.
Well, I
What
muted
still
the
could
music.
be.
I muted the
Yeah,
music
you're
to
right.
be safe.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Mute the music. I just fucking, that was just, I don't know.
Beautiful
That felt like a
morning.
moment.
And
Like-
somebody morning
That'd be a
bed.
hard-ass song.
Down
For
in
this.
the water.
But my son getting to watch this, I'm like,
I just
man.
want to be liberated.
My son's watching a moment. He don't even know it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be awesome if they do team up in the future, which
You're not even a LeBron guy,
they quite. I like LeBron.
do you?
Yeah, I just love trolling LeBron stans
Yeah.
like you and Jeff and
I'm
Flynn.
not really a bronze. I
You-
was once upon a time.
You still are. Once you go,
Once upon a
once you
time.
go Bron, you never go back.
Well, you went, Bron.
But no, I like LeBron. I'm a LeBron fan. I'm just not a LeBron gawker.
Does anybody in here hate LeBron?
Nick does.
Stop that. I hate him back in the day for kicking the shit out of the Pistons and ending our run and making us trade Chauncey Billups for Allen Iverson.
Yeah.
That's when I hated LeBron.
I hated
After
him
the
then, too.
Pistons were horrible, I don't really give a shit about LeBron.
I think that's
I
when
don't
he- when
hate
he won
him.
me
I
over.
appreciate the greatness.
Do you call him La China?
No. No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I could definitely see you pounding a couple brewskis and be like, La China!
Yeah, with China.
I call him Low Whiner because he loves
He
whining
does
and
bitch
wine.
a lot. That
and
shit
loves wine.
That's why I could never be like a total LeBron stan. Is because that
Exactly.
when he fell on the ground and was freaking out that one, like come on, man, just suck it up. Even though it was an obvious foul, like he's right, he should have been gotten the foul call. But like, Jesus Christ, yeah, you think he just got shot?
I
Caleb,
know.
Also, kind of off topic. Did Joel Embiid foul out?
yeah,
Yeah,
12
yeah.
minutes.
Yeah, that's great. Is it 5
such a
fouls
dirty
in
player,
the?
bro.
It's
Yeah.
not 6 fouls. It's
No,
5.
it's 5 in FIBA. Yeah,
And
Yeah.
like goaltending's different there.
yeah.
Yeah.
The ball went over the rim. That's still in play.
I saw that and nobody
Yeah.
said anything about it. It was
No,
on.
yeah.
I think Tatum got the bucket.
That's
and
why
then-
they're all confused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
How do
will
you,
never
what are
grow
your
up.
thoughts on La China though?
I mean, I'm not the biggest LeBron hater, but like Nick said, he always used to beat up on the Pistons, and I mean, I respect his greatness, but the flopping and stuff like that definitely bothers me. It bothers me with Luka and Embiid and all those guys
You're
too.
gonna crack that.
It
glass
really
one.
doesn't bother me after a weekend of watching soccer. Like I'm not gonna
think
hold
it's
you.
about left.
That soccer, I always knew
Why
soccer
were you
was a
watching
different level of
soccer?
fun.
Why are you talking about soccer?
I'm in Wisconsin. Like what the fuck is there to do?
Drink beer and
So
go
yeah,
to
I was
roast
drinking
strip
beer
clubs.
and watching soccer.
Wisconsin.
Dude, I
let-
don't want to go to.
Speaking of soccer,
Wisconsin
let's
strip
play.
club.
Let's play the one thing that actually is cool that happened in soccer over the
I
weekend.
want to say one more LeBron thing.
Okay, what
It
do you?
don't matter.
Sorry, your glorious king. You're gonna pour honey over him.
No, play a soccer thing.
All right.
I'm not gonna pour honey over him.
Right now of Uruguayan players.
Oh, no, you gotta
going
mute it,
into
Chris.
The stands.
Damn it, Chris.
There we
All right,
go.
but
I couldn't
yeah,
really make out.
this is the dude with the sports bra on getting his ass whooped. That's the Uruguay player. He plays for Liverpool, I guess.
What a shitty camera angle.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Awful
it's
camera angle.
Malice at the Palace.
What?
Nothing. I'll tell you at break.
You're gonna forget it.
No, I won't.
Or
Trust me.
pass break. All right, fuck it. Let's go. Let's go to break
But
so you can tell
yeah,
me.
that was pretty wild. I don't think it's a good idea ever to go into the stands if you're a player.
No.
Hot
not
take.
at all.
Yeah, hot take.
It's a lose-lose.
It's never a good idea
Yeah,
unless
you're either gonna get your ass beat or get sued. Like there's no
yeah, like you'll
get
be
sued and get fined.
you'll be Steven
Get
Jackson and go down in infamy, or you'll be Ron Artest and go down like a
Did
bitch.
Artest KO a couple dudes?
No, Steven Jackson KO'd a couple dudes.
Yeah,
Steven Jackson knocked one dude out clean,
yeah.
and you could see
First
it
shot.
on the video. Like
Crumbled
he,
like
oh,
fucking-
dude,
My parents were at that game.
I remember watching that game.
Yeah, it was your dad getting his ass beat.
Yeah.
No, actually, my parents were in the nosebleed, so they were just like, "Wow, this is insane." They were just watching over.
I just don't get. No,
Yeah. No, that's definitely one.
Oh,
one
let's
my
go
mom
to
would
break
say.
real fast. Let me tell you guys about Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness is fitness that fits your budget. No matter where you are, there is a Planet Fitness close by. More than 50 in Metro Detroit and thousands more throughout the world. At Planet Fitness, you'll experience a squeaky clean gym, tons of equipment, a friendly, knowledgeable staff, and a totally judgment-free atmosphere. Did you know all Planet Fitness memberships include fitness training for no extra cost? But if you want to bump up to that Black Card, you can use unlimited amenities like the Black Card Spa, which includes hydro massage chairs, total body enhancement, and tanning beds, along with access to over 2,500 locations and unlimited guest privileges. For more information, join today at your local Planet Fitness or go to planetfitness.com. Planet Fitness,
A
where
family
your
deal.
fitness is essential.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Yo, let me just say, I love Planet Fitness.
Trying out Planet Fitness and dang, they got lots of equipment.
Not me getting a Planet Fitness membership just for the 24-hour perk.
Listen, the PF Black Card is worth every penny for this hydro massage. I'm a new man.
Did y'all know that the PF app has workouts you can do at home? Cheapest therapy I can find is Planet Fitness.
All the benefits, all for less. Planet Fitness, big fitness energy for all.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Is your wife still a Kenta Maeda fan? It's time to call it quits. You gotta call KDK Law. They will help you with divorce, child custody, visitation, any other family law issues. Kevin and Catherine at Birmingham, KDK Law have your back. Give them a call today at 248-971-0476. Just scan the QR code above my head. If you tell them the heavyweight sent you, they will pay your filing fee. It's KDK Law. They've got your back.
No way, is this true?
What true?
Did Willie Castro make the All-Star team?
Yep, you did.
Yes. As soon as we were going into a positive segment,
Oh,
Go
man.
off. What's going on?
Willie Castro, former Tiger, got signed to the Twins. He's an all-star now. Not much more to say. We let go of a hitter that was developed in another team, and the
He
other
wasn't a
team,
bad hitter for us either.
No, he was probably our best player at the time.
at
Yeah.
one time, I think he hit over 300 in that shortened COVID season,
Yeah.
and then just fell off a wagon.
Think of if we had Willie Castro at shortstop right now,
Bruh.
we'd have an extra 5 wins at least.
Yeah.
Instead of
think about.
McKinstry or Baez.
Hey, what beat is this?
Chris
Choff.
Belly.
It's a Choff beat.
It's Choff beat?
It's Choff beat.
Okay, Chaw.
Shout out
All right,
Choff.
I'm going to start playing this one more.
I like this one.
Let's
Detroit.
go.
Wow. That's actually crazy.
Now he's on a division rival in the Minnesota Twins. So, but he is playing second base. because Carlos Correa is
but
at short.
he could play shortstop for us.
Yeah, he plays.
He played shortstop for us.
He's played like 20 games at each position this year.
Yeah, he plays
left
outfield.
Yeah, it's crazy. Besides first base, that's the only position he doesn't play.
That's crazy
He's pitched
too.
Twice.
Because like,
he
the
pitched
guys
against
we
us
signed
once.
for agency were those utility type guys too.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild. How much is he getting paid? Do you
Not
anybody
much.
know?
Yeah,
I gotta
I'll look
think
right now.
under $5 million. I would almost guarantee.
That's crazy.
Definitely under $5 million. Probably under $3 million. Like,
That's insane.
yeah.
1 year, 3,300,000, 3.3.
So how we feel about Scott Harris?
Price is wrong, bitch.
I don't think that was a Scott Harris move. I think that was an Avila move.
It was 2022. Or he was actually signed. This was this 2022 contract. Give me a sec here. My bad.
That's Scott Harris era, isn't it? Pretty sure it is.
I think it is.
I don't know.
I think
Let
it
me
might
see.
have been a Scott Harris move.
When did Scott Harris get hired? I mean, you guys should know. I'm not a fucking big baseball guy.
All those years are hazy when it comes to the Tigers.
September
They're so
19th,
bad.
2022.
Okay.
This was December of 2022.
So it was a Scott Harris move.
Didn't like what he saw in Willie Castro,
Did he
but
pay Kenta Maeda?
I liked what he saw in Kenta Maeda.
12 big ones.
one guy on the positive note, fellas,
That's crazy.
that he did see something in, and what this organization has failed to do in the past is pay its young players. He took a shot in signing Colt Keith.
Yes, he did.
Fellas, how we feeling about Colt?
I've always loved him.
Love it. Yeah, the kid's raking. He's a fucking horse up there. Like he is a stallion.
Yeah.
Like it's impressive to see him go out there and make plays, and now he's doing it on a consistent basis when it comes to swinging the bat. So he's not just hitting home runs; he's hitting long fucking home runs. Like they go a very far distance. It's obviously he still needs to work on the glove if he's going to be playing second base, but I'm not worried about that right now. We just need people to hit the ball, and he's been hitting the ball. He's got like a 1,400 OPS in the month of July. He's got a couple home runs already in the month of July. It's impressive to watch him in the batter's box. The confidence is now exuding out of him every time he steps up to the plate. He was on base 3 times today. He had a couple walks and he had a single. So you like to see that.
The only thing I can say, I just very first day, did we not say this guy looks like a fucking baseball player?
He does.
His name fits a fucking
definitely a
baseball
baseball player name.
He got the bread because they saw this coming in. Like I've always liked Colt Keith. I was fine with I guess chilling for him to get over that little slump just because a lot of us were tailing Torque for so long. I was like, okay, if we're fucking waiting on Torque. I mean, I guess Torque gave you something to believe in. So in fairness, there was that. But no, I'm glad that he's kind of showing out. And as a guy who does not know baseball, Green and Keith were my guys to begin the season. I'm just saying, my guy's nice. My guy's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is really exciting for Tigers fans. I mean, Colt Keith is probably the biggest reason we're on this little streak we're on right now. He complements Riley Green so well in that lineup. We've been looking for a guy. We've been saying it for so long. We need a guy to help Riley Green in that lineup, and Colt Keith's been that. Also, shout out Carson Kelly. Because he's been absolutely unbelievable too. Another guy that's been helping Riley Green in that lineup.
That is one of the questions in Around the Diamond, Caleb.
Oh, sorry.
Before we hit on Carson Kelly, fellas.
What an idiot.
9 years, $82 million contract is what Scott Harris handed out to Colt Keith. So this is looking like
It's a steal.
Yeah, it's looking like his best move so far as the GM, along with bringing in Jack Flaherty. Couple questions on Colt here, fellas. Can we keep him at second base long term? Because signing a free agent first baseman would absolutely bolster this lineup moving forward with a power hitting potential all-star.
Man,
Colt Keith.
that is a great question, Nick. I don't know how you think of stuff like that. I really wish you would have given that to me before the show so I could have, thought about it in advance. But yeah, I think you can keep him at second if you really want to. Because is his defense a little subpar? Yeah, it is. But it's not like terrible. Like he's not completely useless at second base. So once he can get a little bit better, I don't expect him to be, a Gold Glover or anything, but to have a Silver Slugger at second base would be just as valuable. And then you could free up that first base spot for someone to actually come in and actually mash rather than Colt Keith being stranded on the first base island. I think you could keep him at second but that's, up to them. If they want to spend fucking money, then I'd say yes. If they're going to go out there and they're going to pay for a masher at first base, then yeah, keep Colt at second. But if not, no, just push him to first.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think it's what you kind of have to look at what your long-term plan is. If you're still holding on hope for Torque, if you're not, if you're done with Torque,
I'm done with Torque.
Yeah, I'm saying like the front. I'm done with Torque too, but I'm saying like
you were done with
office.
the Tigers last week.
Yeah,
So
it depends what they want to do with Torque, and like you said, if they want to go out and pay someone, Pete Alonso maybe, I think this year they let Colt Keith kind of play second base for the rest of the year, and if he doesn't look more comfortable there, I think you got to make the move to first base.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. It's not something, and with Jace Young also struggling at third, that's kind of the game plan, is to move him to second base and then move Colt Keith to first base. So we'll see. I'm not mad either way.
Two potential names to look out for is Pete Alonso and Christian Walker, two mashers coming out in the free agency market this year. And then before we get off, one more question, fellas. Buy or sell? Colt Keith will be the second drafted player along with Riley Green to make an all-star game, since Curtis Granderson.
Drafted hitter?
Yeah, drafted hitter.
I'm buying that. Colt Keith's going to make an all-star game.
Easy?
Yes.
Yep, buying. Yeah. Everyone?
Yeah, I think I'm buying that too, because you look at it like who else is really, there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the only guy is Torque, and he sucks. And he's actually not on the team. So, yeah, that's it. It's going to be Colt.
Yeah, that's a good question, Nick.
Hell yeah. All right, let's go around with Carson Kelly. Should he continue to be an everyday starter?
Carson Kelly should be your everyday catcher, and I don't think it should even be a question at this point. Rake Rogers was fun for a season, but he can take that mustache and get out. Like, if you want to put, obviously you can put Jake out there for every third game or whatever you want to do to spell Carson Kelly, because Jake Rogers does catch a good game. He catches very well. He frames pitches very well. If you want to put him out there when Scooble's on the mound, I'm fine with that. But yeah, Carson Kelly should be getting a majority of the starts.
Yeah, I agree he should be getting a majority of the starts, but baseball's a weird game where like Tariq Skubal will only pitch to Jake Rogers, or like Casey Mize will only pitch to Carson Kelly. So I think that comes into play too, where AJ Hinch likes to platoon it like that. But yeah, I mean, it's been a tough season for Jake Rogers. It's hard to keep him in that lineup. He's been fine defensively, but he's had a couple balls get past him. He hasn't been throwing runners out like he did in years past. So I think Carson Kelly should be, let's say, play 3 out of the 5 days of the week.
Yeah, and like I said, if you want to put Rogers out there just for Scooble, sure, that's fine. Casey Mize has no authority over me right now. Like, you don't get to decide who you pitch to. You're pitching to whoever is out there. You don't have the arm or have the tread yet to be like, I'm only pitching to this guy. You know what I mean?
Agreed. Yeah. And I think you should play Carson Kelly at least like 4 out of every 5 games right now until you trade him. And when you do, you call up Dylan Dingler and give this guy a shot to see if he's the catcher of the future for this Detroit Tigers team. So yeah, I'm playing Carson Kelly until you trade him, hopefully, maybe even in a Flaherty deal to get an extra prospect back.
That's fair. Now tell us about Feldman.
If you want a car, all right. Since 1996, Feldman Automotive has been driven to provide a fast, convenient, and first-class car buying experience called the Feldman Advantage. With 18 locations, there's a Feldman dealership in your backyard. Visit FeldmanAuto.com to find the location nearest you. And catch Woodward Sports Network live from Feldman Chevrolet of Novi every other Monday. Feldman Chevrolet, Detroit's #1 Chevy dealer.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around. Who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola? Really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supplies has everything that your pet can dream of. And guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody!
Thank you to the Detroit Lions and Sheila Ham for the best season in Lions history. Now it's time to let Brad Holmes cook. Woodward Sports.
Every single morning when you wake up, make sure you are waking up with Woodward. It's Wake Up Woodward. Join Kool-Aid, Flannel Sam, Broder, JB, and KG every single morning as they cover all the Detroit sports, sports talk, banter, and live fan interaction, all on Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
What up, though? Welcome back to World Heavyweights Live on WoodwardSports.com. I'm easy joined by Spin Rex.
Hello.
Young Chris, Nicholas Kohloff, a.k.a. Microwave Mario, Caleb as well.
Go.
We keep the Tigers talk rolling. They're hot right now.
Let's go.
Quite literally. Outside of obviously the loss, but it was a close one.
Yeah.
So
That was a close one.
I remain with that they're hot.
Tried to make a comeback. The only thing that could damper the Tigers' hot streak was Kenta Maeda.
Yeah.
I saw a stat like they're like 8-1 in the last 9 games, like non-Kenta Maeda starts.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I believe it. The dude's fucking cheeks. But speaking of another pitching guy, speaking of another pitcher, speaking of another guy, thrower dude that Scott Harris signed this offseason that is the opposite of Kenta Maeda, that is actually performing extremely well and is
This is a great conversation.
pretty confident, or he has a lot of confidence from me when he steps on the tit that we're going to win that game, is Jack Flaherty. And we talked about at the beginning of the season, can Chris Fetter bring him back to that, contending for Cy Young form? And he has, really. He's been the second best pitcher on this staff so far this year. And Nick had a question that, because he's always brought up in trade talks when it comes to the deadline, if the Tigers are going to be sellers, a guy that you look towards is Jack Flaherty, because he is on a 1-year contract and he is a weapon that a lot of teams who are trying to make a push for a World Series would want. What is your thought behind that? Would you like to trade Jack Flaherty, or do you think you should extend him?
So this is the big question, and I feel like we are in a bit of a pickle, like the Guardians were last night, and luckily they couldn't get around it. But I said I wish we were talking about extending Jack Flaherty and not trading him.
Wow.
Great work today, 6 innings, 1 run, the best signing of the Scott Harris era.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm at. It's like I wish we were talking about extending him, but we are not, because we're not in a situation to be actually contending for a wild card spot in my eyes, because we did dig this hole so deep where I just don't know if this team can realistically get out of it. Do you guys see this team remaining hot where you can justify not selling a Jack Flaherty and trying to extend him moving forward?
No. I can't. I don't see that happening, unfortunately. Obviously, you'd like to re-sign him and bring him in, but I think we're dealing with a little fool's gold here. And maybe the Tigers lose 6 in a row after the All-Star break, and Caleb's back to hating his life, and everybody thinks that the Tigers are back off of the horse. So I think you should try to move him, and I think he's going to price himself out to Chris Ilitch, because we know Chris Ilitch doesn't want to spend money on anybody. So if a guy's putting up stats like this, he's not going to come back for $8 million a year again. Like, you're going to have to pay him, or whatever. I think he's at 14 or something like that. But he's going to want more than that. He's going to want in the 20s. And I don't know if Chris Ilitch is going to be willing to pay him that much.
Yeah, I think this was kind of the plan. No matter what happened this season, we were going to bring him in on a 1-year deal and hopefully have Chris Fetter, check, because he wasn't very good last year. He had command issues a lot. He was trying to overthrow. He was throwing 97, 98, but he didn't know where it was going. So now, Chris Fetter changed his slider, gave him his command. And I think now we got to trade him for pieces. I think that was Scott Harris's plan the whole time, whether we like it or not. If it were up to me, I'd see kind of what the market was for Jack Flaherty. If he wanted to do like a 3-year deal, $18 million a year, $20 million a year, I think I'd do that, because that's your number 2 guy behind Scuba right now. Mize isn't working out. I mean, Reese Olson is going to be our number 3. You don't know what you got in Matt Manning. I think this is a guy that could be in the rotation for the next 5 years, but who knows? But like I said, I think Scott Harris's plan is to move on from him.
We're 6.5 out from the wild card.
Yeah.
Is that attainable with this streak?
Who are the teams we're chasing?
We're chasing the Rays, Astros, Royals, Sox, Twins, and Yankees.
Oh, no. With that many teams ahead of you, yeah, no.
A lot of those teams are going to be buying
a lot of
as
those
well.
The Sox are going to be buying. Obviously, the Royals are probably going to stay the same or stand pat, but a lot of those teams ahead of you are going to be buying. I don't think it's reasonable. I think you got to trade Jack Flaherty, unfortunately.
What's the price?
Flaherty?
Yeah, what do you get in return?
So last season, we traded Michael Lorenzen, who had a 3.58 ERA and 100. He had a 3.58 ERA and 83 strikeouts. Jack Flaherty right now is rocking a 3.24 ERA before this start. I don't know what it calculates at now. So you're looking at a better tier of a prospect that you got from Michael Lorenzen, who wasn't a proven guy in the past as well. But Jack Flaherty looks like the same Jack Flaherty that was top 5 in Cy Young voting. You're looking at that type of pitcher that can be a top 3 piece for an AL or an NL team that needs that third game to actually win a series. That's what you are going to make these teams bid for. So last year, we got a guy in Hao-Yu Lee, who is now playing in our AA system. He just made the minor league all-star game, and we got that for Michael Lorenzen. So that was a good trade by Scott Harris. He's hitting almost like 0.871 OPS in the AA. So it's a good-looking prospect that we did get for Michael Lorenzen last year. I'm looking for at the bottom tier of like a top 100 MLB prospect.
Yeah,
that's what I'm looking
I think it needs to be a top 100 guy when you're getting rid of Flaherty and what he can be to one of these contending teams, and you gotta put the pressure on them, and hopefully that's what Scott Harris did for Hao-Yu Lee last year is like, hey, you can either take this guy or we're giving him to somebody you're fighting with, and he could be the difference between you winning a series or losing a series. So I think you can push your chips to the middle with him because what do you got to lose? So I think you hunt for that top 100 prospect. Hopefully it's a first baseman.
I personally think with the back injury that you probably should move on to him. I understand like what he's been this season and what it would be if you did make the playoffs. Odds are we're not making the playoffs.
You're not making the playoffs.
Like I think there's something there, but I already know that we're not going to make the necessary moves to make the playoffs. So I just feel comfortable saying we're not. Can we go on that streak? Yeah. Maybe you spend the money then, but yeah, with the back injury too, like it wouldn't be. I'd rather let somebody else make the gamble. We're not in the position to do it. And if we're in a position where we could receive assets for them, I'd rather go that route.
Yeah, I totally agree because I mean we see Jack Flaherty's past. It's not the greatest, but it kind of sucks. Like you have a guy like Chris Fetter who just turns this guy's career around, and then we just ship him off.
Yeah. Same thing with Lorenzen.
Same thing with Lorenzen, and it sucks. But I think you're right, Easy. Like, but also on the flip side, like, what if teams are looking at, Jack Flaherty's back injury and they don't really want to, mess with that too much?
Yeah.
So I don't know. You could.
What's the low end price in your mind?
The lowest price for Flaherty. I'm taking a top 100 guy. I'm taking a team's top 5 prospect in their organization for Flaherty, because that's a guy. I mean, he could go out and be your number 2, and you have an ace and you have Flaherty. They're going to be tough. A team with those two guys is going to be tough to beat in a playoff series.
The only way I'd like to see them make the investment in Flaherty is if they make the investment in the team, because I really do for like. I mean, I think everybody feels like if we had a couple hitters, we're headed away from being in that wild card spot, or at least in contention for it. I mean, 6.5 with like the way the season's been right now, kind of crazy if you think about it. Like it's been depressing. Maybe 6.5 out while having a depressing season. Like, yeah, I think you're a few sprinkles away from being in the conversation. It's just that I think Chris Ilitch has shown that he's just not willing to make the investment in this team, no matter how close we believe they are.
And Bally Sports Detroit, terrible company. You guys suck. Fuck you. But they put out a tweet and it says, "Oh no, OHNO." The Tigers have won 6 of their last 7 games, all against teams from Ohio. The Red Wings are 3-0 against the Columbus Blue Jackets this season. And it has been 1,685 days since Ohio State defeated Michigan in football. So eat shit, Ohio. Fuck you, Lucas. But we're going to wrap up the Tigers talk there. We'll probably bring up some more later. We got our boy Zariq coming on. We're going to talk some Pistons because he was in the building for the JB Bickerstaff presser. So we're going to pick his brain on that. But first, let me tell you guys about Guardian, because Guardian Alarm offers you customized solutions from real experts. Their professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. They also have 24/7 professional monitoring. You can call them anytime, day or night. No Guardian Alarm team member will stay on the phone as long as needed. And of course, they have technology backed by people. Your safety and security as their technology has been proven to work, and people have been proven to care. So call them at 1-800 stay out. That's 1-800
stay out,
and let them know Woodward Sports sent you.
Is that an octopus in your pants, or are you just happy to see me? See what I did there? Go Red Wings! From Octopi Experts, Woodward Sports.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists. Enjoy a precision haircut, hot lather neck shave, scalp and neck massage, and a hot towel treatment to top it off. Enter for your chance to win the $50,000 Perfect Bracket Challenge. With more than 25 Metro Detroit locations, there's always a Lady Jane's near you. Lady Jane's Haircut for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Guys, right now you can win a signed jersey and or helmet from your favorite football team just by screenshotting the QR code above my head and bring it into any Dispo location and telling them you want the free dollars come along with it, and you'll automatically be entered in that said raffle for the free football helmet and or jersey signed by your favorite player from your favorite team. Guys, Dispo dispenser, your local cannabis plug, must be 21 up and older to participate. What up, though? Welcome back to the World Heavyweights live on WoodwardSports.com. I'm Easy, joined by Spinmo Rex, Young Chris, Nicholas Kohloff, a.k.a. Microwave Mario. We are joined by Zariq, my guy from Bully Ball.
What up, though?
Were you in the house for the JB?
Yeah. I got like 5 text messages just because people saw my hair in the second row. So, I was there. I was very impressed with how it went. I'm sure we're going to get into it here, but overall, I felt pretty good about how it went. I feel like fans should feel a little enthusiastic about it. It seemed like he knew his stuff and he's energetic. He wants to be here, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
I was in the house though.
What was your biggest takeaway from this press conference?
Big culture.
Yeah.
That's easily like my biggest takeaway. Like I knew that JB was kind of someone who's more of a culture guy. Like he's someone who obviously knows his X's and O's, but if he has one great skill, it's connecting with players. And you could really tell just by yesterday the emphasis on positivity, on building an environment, the emphasis on kind of just getting a culture in the locker room going, a culture, he said, in that practice facility going, where if that becomes a place that's like, we're excited to go here, that leads to more wins, that leads to an overall better team. So I was really impressed by that. I was impressed by just overall his knowledge of the team. Like I know they played Detroit 4 times a year, but he still had a pretty extensive knowledge of how he would use certain guys, and I thought that was pretty refreshing compared to last year, where Monty didn't really say anything about anybody on the team, right? Like not even Cade got a mention last year. So the fact that he went in about Cade, about Stewart, Duran, Ivy, Asar, even Ron Holland got some mentions as well. I was really impressed with how that went.
Yeah, I agree. I even felt there was at one point where you kind of like look towards Langdon, mentioning grabbing some more talent and whatnot, but it feels like there's some cohesiveness. At least there's like guys that compliment each other versus what it felt like last year and what's been reported is the factions. I like that we're moving towards that. I like JB Bickerstaff. We know what you and I go back and forth on. I go back and forth with tons of Pistons fans.
Yeah.
What was your takeaway when he was asked about the situation between Cade and Ivy and how he dealt with that in Cleveland? Because personally, I took away as he's going to stagger the two. That was my takeaway.
So he said exactly what I said last time we were in here, where it was like you always want one of them on the court, right?
Yes.
And I don't know if Ivy's necessarily for sure the starting shooting guard this year, at least to start the year, especially because you have guys like Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway now who can kind of challenge for that spot. But I am confident in how he's going to use Jaden Ivey. So now that he kind of seems to understand that, okay, we're going to use Jaden in sets where he's using his movement a lot more rather than just kind of standing still and taking the ball up the court. We want him kind of coming off of screens, or we want him, coming around the corner. We want things like that. That shows that he kind of understands Jaden Ivey's game, so that, yes, if it doesn't go well this year, then we kind of have a read on, okay, he gave Ivy a fair shot, right? Because like last year, Ivy had to balance, like, is he coming off the bench? Is he starting next to Cade? Is he getting staggered? Is, all these other questions, and then there's just not the spacing around him and all these other things where it didn't really feel like he was put in a position to improve. So if he doesn't improve this year, if he doesn't say, if we can't come out of this season being like, okay, Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham either work together or show that they can work together, then you kind of know what you have here. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, and I'm looking at that as kind of, we talked about it yesterday, to where he said he wants to bring the best out of both of them, put them both in the best situations possible. And I think like Ivy coming off the bench with guys like Fontecchio and Tim Hardaway Jr., if Malik Beasley was in the starting lineup, I think that would be the best for him, because him getting downhill and kicking the ball out to shooters is where he's at his best.
Yeah, I think having, like, let's say you have a bench lineup of, like, I don't know, Ivy, Tim Hardaway, Asar, throw out your front court. I don't know if you want to say Paul Reed and Stu or something, but something like that. I think you set up Ivy to kind of see what he can do both on ball and off ball. It gives him that chance, because Asar is someone who can kind of create on ball as well. He's obviously not going to shoot the three ball that well, but he's able to play make. So I think having that and having shooters around him with even two centers who can space the floor with Paul Reed and Isaiah Stewart, if they do run that out, it's kind of hard to tell how they're going to run things out right now. But just kind of looking at the team, it's easy to see that, like, they're in a position to improve, and their skill sets are now in a position where if you don't improve or show signs of improvement at this point, it's kind of more on you versus roster construction versus coaching versus all those things. It's not really on the external factors. It's about you now. So I think that's a huge, huge win for this team. Just even if, and I personally don't believe this, but even if they're like 14th in the East this year, they end with, like, I don't know, 25 wins.
Yeah.
The fact that you can come out of this season knowing what you have in certain guys is such a vast improvement over this year, because you ended the season this year with guys like Marcus Sasser, who, showed flashes, but you didn't really know what you have in him. You still don't.
Yeah.
Guys like Asar, you kind of understand what you have in him, but that's only because he showed it, right? It wasn't really the system he was in. He didn't really get many chances to grow. He just kind of was out there to do stuff, and he just happened to be good at a lot of things he does besides three-point shooting. Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham, we came out of this season with pretty much a fully healthy season of Cade and Ivey, not knowing if they work together.
Yeah.
That's an abject failure, right? Like, I know, I mean, but, like, the fact that, like,
I knew before,
it's the verdict still out, but.
Well, I mean, listen, I've said, and this is what I've been saying too. If it does work, it's going to be in that staggered situation, right? Like, allowing they both need spacing. Ivy with his elite ability to get to the rim, allow him to kick it out. Somebody spread the floor. Same with Cade. He's the mini magician. He's a bigger point guard. He's going to eat inside as well. Plus, he's also like a better shooter. Like I think both those guys need spacing. I think to maximize their value with them spacing. One thing I want to get, unless you have any more on the Ivy stuff.
No.
Two things actually, but one thing I guess with the Reed signing, is there any writing on the wall for Isaiah Stewart with that, especially with, like, him already being rumored to have been poked around, questions were asked.
I think it's fair to, like, think Stu might be on the move. I would say it doesn't solve that question of the rumors around Stu. I've pretty much held firm for a very long time now. Of all the guys on this team, I would say if I had, like, a personal favorite, it's probably Stu, right? Like, I always liked the way he played. And it's not just because like, oh, I identify with, but he just does the dirty work, right? Like he does all the things that you want out of a big. Besides, like, he's a little bit undersized, right? But that's why they had him at the power forward position this year. I really think if you have Isaiah Stewart and you can play him at the center position, you really can see him maximize his potential versus kind of playing him at the power forward position. And okay, he's going to shoot some corner threes. When you force him out of the paint, you're taking away things that are special about his game, right? Because he's someone who can kick it out to other shooters. He's someone who could even create down low. I don't think he was really put in the right position. I think he was played out of position. Yes, he can shoot, but that shouldn't be his only skill set. With that being said, Paul Reed does a lot of the things offensively that Isaiah Stewart does. And his contract is $8 million per year, which is not a small contract, right? And it's guaranteed over the next 2 years, I believe.
Yeah.
So it kind of is like, okay, is Paul Reed now your third string center? Like, that's a really good third string center. Don't get me wrong, but like, he almost feels too good not to play. So I wonder if they're going to go with maybe using Paul Reed as that power forward and Stewart as the center in the bench lineups, or if they see Paul Reed and Stewart challenging for minutes. But I don't know. It's really interesting. I honestly cannot wrap my mind around how it would fit as it is right now. So I feel like there's definitely some moving pieces. I would like to see Isaiah Stewart stay, for the record. I think he's someone who embodies what it means to be a Detroit Piston. I think of all the things Troy Weaver ever said, that's probably one of the more true things he ever said, was that Isaiah Stewart is the embodiment of Detroit Pistons basketball. I know some people don't like watching him. It is what it is. I'm not going to argue with that. But, you know, I think he's a really important piece. And if he does leave, you'll see his value immediately after.
Where does Fontecchio fit into that? Because you talked about Paul Reed possibly being the four off the bench. That's the role I saw for Fontecchio, being a guy that can come in, space the floor, and be the four.
I mean, I could see anywhere where you could start a lineup of Cade, Beasley, Fontecchio, Tobias, Duren as it is right now. I could see Fontecchio coming off of the bench. He's someone who doesn't necessarily need to start, but he's a luxury at this point where like he can start, but he also can come off the bench, and his contract isn't like to where like, okay, we have like, I don't know, $20 million sitting on the bench right now as like our 6th, 7th, or 8th guy. He's $8 million per year, right?
Yeah.
Which I think we all agree is insane value for someone like Fontecchio. But
fettuccine.
Exactly. But at the same time, I don't think he necessarily has to start to be effective. I think regardless, he'll have a role on this team, and I think he'll have a pretty important role on this team as a sharpshooter, as someone, minus the big toe injury this last year, is pretty available in his career, and someone who's honestly a decent two-way guy. Like, his defense is really not bad at all. He's one of the better 3-and-D guys that they could get.
My favorite saying for a white athlete, sneaky athletic. And Fontecchio truly embodies that. Yeah. So everyone said, when a white guy's athletic, they can never just be athletic. It's always like sneaky athletic. Yeah. It's always sneaking up on you. There is a thing, I don't want to give too much credibility to it because we kind of shit on the guy on our show, to be honest with you. I think we all took turns just like Kendrick and him. Just wah, wah, wah. But Brett Siegel, I believe it is, from Clutch Points, put it out there the Pistons were willing to depart with Duren, looking for like a score to put next to Cade. I feel like everything we've heard from Langdon, that couldn't be further from the truth. I believe it's a case with Stu and maybe Ivy, but I just, listening to him talk, I think they're going to experiment with these young guys, just find out what they have, these young guys, at least until the deadline.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say right now, just because when you look at the roster, you kind of like, I think it's not crazy to say this is a pretty decent roster. Right?
Decent, yeah.
I like that they did a lot.
Multiple stars that were on playoff teams last year, and you have a guy like Cade Cunningham, if you truly believe in him.
100%. So, but the thing is, you added, I believe, 4 new guys to your rotation. And let's say you probably run out most nights a 10-man rotation. That's half of your rotation, right? And then the other half of your rotation is all young guys. So how is that going to balance out? Are guys just not going to get minutes? Are they not going to get as many minutes? Like, how is this going to work? To where everybody can kind of develop, because there's no way all of these players can develop. Just logically, they can't. Do you move off of some pieces now that you may not believe in long term? I think that's a complete possibility. I know. I mean, like let's be real. I mean, they added 2 shooting guards who should be getting minutes this offseason. That's kind of like, unless
and 2 forwards.
Yeah, and it's now like, okay, Ivy, yes, is seen, at least how we see it on the outside, as kind of a long-term piece, but the moves you're making don't really correlate. Because if you want Ivy to be that off-ball guy, then why would you play him as a backup point guard?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So certain things I think are said, like I said last time, like when we talked about acquiring bad contracts, I said, I think, yes, that might be something they're looking at, but I don't think it's going to be the only thing they did. And, here we are. I think most of their moves have been done through free agency minus the Tim Hardaway trade.
Yeah.
So I would think there's probably at least one more move to happen before the season ends, or before the offseason ends.
Duran's part of the conversation, though, you think?
It's hard to tell, man. It really is, because I would think Duran is likely to stay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just because of his the way he's seen around the league already. Like he's on Team USA Select 2 years in a row now. You can go on any Instagram comment section where Jalen Duran gets posted, and some NBA player is going to be like, "I like his game," right?
Yeah.
It's just the main hole in his game is his defense.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big hole.
And pause. But yeah. But yeah, it is. And it's a thing of, do you believe in him to develop that side of his game? And if you do, okay, do you want him to be the starting center then? Is that maybe why you got Paul Reed, is to be the starting center and stretch the floor? Or do you want Isaiah Stewart? You know what I mean? It's kind of a thing where certain things aren't adding up.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term. Like, certain things aren't adding up to where I think anybody not named Cade or Ron Holland or Asar Thompson probably could be moved. I'm not saying they're going to be, but like looking at the way things have been addressed, it makes sense if things were in play.
Where do you see Asar fall? Because Nick hates Asar. He's not an Asar guy at all.
Really?
He needs the shooting in the lineup.
I just think the 18% was horrible. That you cannot have that as a starter. I mean, you looked at everybody that was succeeding in the playoffs. Nobody was starting a guy with that bad of a percentage from 3 on the wing.
And we heard JB Bickerstaff talk about how he likes his elite one-on-one defense on the outside, and we know that he is a defensive guy. We saw him do a lot of great stuff developing Aquaro into that 3-and-D type of player.
Yeah.
Do you see Asar being a starter next year?
Just because of the lack of defense on this team, yeah.
I feel like he has to be,
Yeah. Just like, I mean, obviously Ron Holland is someone who you could see as a defensive prospect long-term, but you don't we'll see, right? Like in Summer League this weekend when it starts, where Ron is defensively against other NBA guys. Obviously, Summer League's not like completely indicative of how you're going to be in your rookie year, but it kind of gives you a little gauge. I think Asar, where he is right now already, if he changed nothing else, there's enough spacing in that lineup to where he doesn't have the same pressure on him that he did last year
I love
to
that.
be a shooter.
I love that then going forward, because that's what I was worried about, with just the offensive flow. You saw it get stagnant at times because Asar was honestly scared to shoot at points because he did have such a bad percentage. But yeah, I mean, I love the rebounding, love the defense, love the athleticism, driving. It was just the shot that I've been worried about, and these guys want me to kick him out of town.
You hated it.
That is not at all.
That's exactly what I said yesterday. I
said
you can afford it a little bit more when you have a stretch 4.
I just said I wanted him to shoot better. You guys think I want to kick him out of town? I just said get the shot up.
Well, I'm just saying there's like exactly what Zar said, less stress, less pressure on him to have that 3-point shot when you have other guys around the team that can shoot.
I mean, let's just like say like how it is, right? Like last year, I believe opening night, the starting lineup, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was Cade, Killian, Asar, Stu, Duran.
Yeah.
Where's the 3-point shooting coming from in that lineup? You know what I mean? Like, obviously, Stu can shoot, but you don't want him to be your only shooter in your lineup, right? So, like, even if you rolled out a lineup this year where it was, let's say, Cade, Beasley, Asar, Tobias, and you could even say Stu at the 5, the only non-shooter really in that lineup would be Asar, and Asar isn't even a non-shooter. He does shoot. He just didn't shoot the ball well. I think having time with Fred Vinson, I know we've said it like a bajillion times, but it is important that like you have probably the best shooting coach in the world working with someone who really needs to develop his shot while he also doesn't have as much pressure to shoot 3-4 times a game, right? So I
Yeah.
think you get his attempts down a little bit and you start letting him work on his shot. I think you start seeing some development.
Ron Holland. I think last time you hear, we haven't had the draft yet at that point. Obviously, pick him. What's your takeaway with him, and does he play on this team next year? I see some people saying he's going to start in the G League.
I don't know if he plays in the G League at the start of the year. I think it's all. First of all, I think it's a good thing that your number 5 overall pick doesn't have guaranteed minutes on this roster. I think that shows that your roster is at a point now
lot
where,
better.
Yes.
where like you're not just coming in and starting right out the gate.
Yeah.
At the same time, I do think he has things he can provide on the court day one that are valuable. I mean, this team has now a pretty good amount of spacing when it comes to shooting, not so much defense. Do you want to maybe throw in some Ron Holland minutes to guard the perimeter and get some drives? Maybe. I don't know. But I think Ron's someone who, in my opinion, has either the best or second best long-term potential in this class. And I think most of my friends that do draft coverage or, work like in draft stuff had a kind of similar opinion where Ron was near the top. I think the G League Ignite situation was a little iffy, in terms of development. Like they're now shut down, right? Like there will be no more G League Ignite.
Yeah.
And even then, I believe he averaged near 20 points per game. You know what I mean? Like I know we talk about offense and like Asar is a great example, right? Like he's someone who I don't think we ever expect to average like 20 points per game, right? Like I think 15 to 18 points per game for Asar would be like a huge win at any point in his career. Just because of how elite he is defensively, you never really look for him to be that like primary scorer. Ron Holland does have offensive potential where he can, I think, in the future at some point be a 20-plus point per game scorer, just because of the amount of things he can do on the offensive side of the ball. I think he has a lot of potential on that side. His athleticism is ridiculous. I think he just needs to kind of tune things down a little bit more. I think he has a good shooting form. It just needs to be worked on a little bit more. So I think Ron's someone who might have, in my opinion, like one of the higher potentials on this team next to Cade. I think he's someone who you can long-term see, maybe even as a shooting guard next to Cade, if you wanted to roll that out. I think he's someone, I mean, if we're talking like absolute ceiling, like he reaches his highest of highest potential,
it's pretty good.
I could see him as like a Jaylen Brown.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because if I'm not mistaken, I believe Jaylen Brown's college like stats were very similar to
He shot
Ron
like
Holland's.
20% his first year of college.
Yeah,
from
and then
three.
progressively increased. And obviously on Holland straight to G League, like we're not going to see that. And then like a lot of the 3 points that he took were step backs, like self-created like 3-point shots, where that's not going to be the situation here in Detroit. And as you said too, his motion is so much prettier than Asar's.
Yes.
Like I think Asar's might just be broken. Like I'm just be honest with you. And then you look at the free throw percentage, which is something that projects like your 3-point percentage. That's also not great with Asar. I think with Ron Holland's a lot different. I truly feel like Duran are probably the highest ceilings next to Cade.
I think it's a fair point.
I wouldn't even. I might even
Ron
say
Holland,
Holland.
if he becomes a consistent jump shooter, he could be over Jaylen Brown level. Like it's pretty insane what he can do one-on-one. Because I saw so many people when we drafted him, they're like, "Oh, it's just the Asar clone. We already have that with Asar." But him breaking down defenders one-on-one off the dribble is already past what Asar Thompson is, and that's what I'm excited to see.
Yeah, his offensive game is a lot different than Asar's. I think people I saw a lot of comparisons to Asar, like on draft night, where like, oh, they already have Asar. Why would they draft Ron Holland? Ron Holland's a lot more of an offensive prospect than Asar ever was. I think Amen, maybe his brother, is more of an offensive prospect than Asar is. But Asar, I think for his career, is going to project to be one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what he can do offensively? Like he'll crash the boards. He'll be the putback guy. You can play him in the dunker spot. A lot of those things where he kind of plays, I think, an Aaron Gordon role offensively, right? But
you remember Sean Marion?
Yeah,
that's how.
Yeah, I think that's a good one too. Yeah, but I think Ron Holland's someone who is that modern wing where he can do both sides of the ball. I think he compared himself to Mikal Bridges.
Yeah,
on draft night.
Bridges, Jaden McDaniels, and Jaylen Brown. I think.
Yeah, I think those are all like. Kind of, if you play 2K, like when you make your guy, right? Like they give you 3 comparisons, like 3 level comparisons.
Shades of.
Yeah, Jalen McDaniels and then Mikal Bridges, and then Jaylen Brown is like your highest ceiling. I think those are all like fair comparisons for Ron Holland, and I mean, pretty good comparisons for him as well. I can't remember who said it, but the fact that like Ron came into the league not comparing himself to like Kevin Durant or to like, I don't know, LeBron or something, because a lot of guys do that.
Yeah.
The fact that you can come into the league and be like, yeah, I'm going to be one of the better 3-and-D players in the league, and I can also create off the dribble. I think that kind of tells me where you see yours. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like it's the perfect role, and that you have that self-awareness will get you really far.
And Chris had a question.
Yeah, it would have been alarming if he comes in and says like I'm Paul George, or like one of those more offensive focused but two-way wings. But to go off of what you said earlier about Isaiah Stewart and just now about Ron Howland, the thing I wanted your perspective on is he mentioned a lot of the young guys, but was there any of the quotes or the ways he talked about the young guys that kind of raise your antennas in a good or a bad way in the way JB talked about them at the presser?
I think Ivy was like the biggest one I took away, was like, okay, I wasn't really expecting that, right? Because I think it's no secret, like we've all heard Ivy and like, maybe Ivy's going to get traded this summer, all that type of stuff. I wasn't expecting him to have like, I think he went on for a few minutes about how he sees Jaden Ivey on this team long term.
Yeah.
I think that was really impressive. I think Ivy's someone who's now going into his third year with a third, like, new head coach.
Yeah.
Dwayne, Monty, and now JB. If he has, for the first time in his career, a coach who really understands modern offense and understands how to use him, I think that's really encouraging, because I think it was fair. I mean, I think your take was fair this year. I think it was like, yeah, I don't know if Cade and Ivy work. I don't know if Ivy's the guy long term to put next to Cade. But I think that now that you have JB being like, yeah, we want to use him this way specifically, and we see that these are the things he's really good at, and maybe these are the things he can work on.
Yeah.
That really gives you a blueprint of how Ivy can have a role on this team long term, to where I think my issue with Jaden Ivey this past year, in the moments where he was kind of in a lull, like he wasn't scoring, he wasn't really like having the ball in his hands, it didn't really feel like he was on the court. Like he was one of those guys that kind of felt invisible on the court.
Yeah.
If he can have a role this year where he's moving around a lot on offense and he's getting the ball, he's catching the ball rather than bringing it up, I think that does wonders for him long term. And I think that kind of instills confidence back in Jaden Ivey, because I can't imagine his confidence didn't take a hit this year, where Killian Hayes was getting minutes over him, Alec Burks was getting minutes over him, Isaiah Livers was getting minutes over him. Like, it was just a thing of like, Ivy didn't really seem like a priority. So if he's a priority, I'm encouraged.
And it felt like Monty almost like refused to say anything positive about Jaden Ivey. Like, and you guys know where I stand. That like, I never hated Jaden Ivey. I just didn't like. I think there's a way it works, and just wasn't being done, or I don't know what the situation was. I believe in it now.
There was
like
a way
you said
it worked,
too,
and they started with it, but it was fucking Killian Hayes in there.
Exactly, which makes Monty look like a dumbass. But he also, on top of that, though, just wouldn't say anything positive about Ivy.
Yeah.
I think what's dope about the presser, the things that he did have to say about Ivy, is the fact that, like, yeah, at some point you may have to come to him, and you may have to have him buy into that 6-man role. But it's not in the way Monty did it, where he kind of just diminished you, didn't talk about you. He already said the things he liked about you. So there's already like a lot more to buy into as a coach when he's like selling you on the idea, like, hey, you're gonna be better in this situation. Like this is where you're gonna thrive. This is gonna like prove like what you can do with the ball and all that other good stuff. Versus Monty, kind of, I don't even know what Monty was doing, dude.
He doesn't know what he's doing. He was trying to get fired.
It was like Joe Biden was coaching the team.
I mean, yeah, on BullyBall.net, that was something I had reported that I heard around like the organization. Is like there was people who did feel that way, right? Like that did feel like he was trying to get fired. But with Jaden Ivey, I think when you talk about like how you project him, I think we made collectively a mistake. Media, fans, the collective made a mistake being like Ja Morant, Donovan Mitchell right out the gate, right? I think if you can now get Ivy to a role that Malik Monk has on the Sacramento Kings, you have a major, major win. Because I think Malik Monk is someone who you could throw in the starting lineup, and he's still really effective, but he's even more effective coming off the bench too.
Yes.
So I think having a defined role for Jaden Ivey is going to be huge.
Like a couple guys we talked about yesterday, which are Hall of Famers that started their career, and one of them did their whole career doing something we'd like to see with Ivy, are guys like Manu Ginobili and James Harden. Like, obviously, Manu Ginobili is a better player than Danny Green, but Danny Green fits better in that starting offense. Obviously, James Harden was a better player than Andre Roberson or Kevin Martin, but those guys fit better in that offense. And so I just don't understand why Pistons fans are so adverse to saying that even be a possibility. Like, it could bring out the best of both of them. Because then when Cade goes off the floor, you can have Ivy come in and run that offense and be the guy. And I just think it makes sense when you think about it.
I got a young team now. You guys can answer this for me. The Magic, Cole Anthony and Jalen Suggs, they don't start together, do they?
No, they don't. Mm-mm. They don't. And that's a perfect like yin and yang, right? Of a play style. So it makes a lot of sense. And that's what I've been saying about Ivy is that I think you just have to rewire your expectations for him. And if you do, he can be a contributing player on this team and, a contributing player on a championship team. It's just a different role. I think everybody got, like you said, kind of hypnotized into the all-NBA ceiling that he may have, to his credit. He may end up having that. But in this situation, he can be a damn good sixth man and, lead this team to be an essential part of a championship. We've seen that here in Detroit with Vinnie Johnson. Like, Corliss Williams, when the Pistons won in 2004, was sixth man of the year. Like, that's in Detroit's DNA to win championships, is having a great sixth man. And if Ivy wants to be that, then I think it can work.
Mm-hmm. Again, I think JB is a lot better position, or has positioned himself to deliver that news or excel Ivy on that role more than Monty ever was.
Yeah,
I agree.
We are up against it. We will double up, go to break. Zariq, if you'd love to stay, I'd love to have you. I got some, questions during take, I guess. I want to get some of you guys' feedback on you guys as well. But first, we got to tell you guys about Lady Jane's.
Lady Jane's. You can walk into any Lady Jane's because awesome is when a guy can be a guy and get an amazing haircut. That's Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Stop in, sit back, relax, and let what a Lady Jane's talented stylists make you look and feel great. Walk in anytime, 7 days a week. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome. And let me tell you about Premier Pet Supply. Premier Pet Supply is hands down Michigan's best pet store. Same prices and all the conveniences, the online and big box retailers, with one major difference. They're family and locally owned and operated for over 30 years with 60 brands of food and nutrition experts to help you. Same day local curbside home delivery. Premier Pet Supply. Give your pet the best. www.premierpetsupply.com.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
Let me just say, I love Planet Fitness.
Trying out Planet Fitness and dang, they got lots of equipment.
Not me getting a Planet Fitness membership just for the 24-hour perk.
Listen, the PF Black Card is worth every penny for this hydro massage. I'm a new man.
Did y'all know that the PF app has workouts you can do at home? Cheapest therapy I can find is Planet Fitness.
All the benefits, all for less. Planet Fitness, big fitness energy for all.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side. Woodward Sports.
It's the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour. Grab your celebrities and get in your golf clubs and head on down to the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour. Just scan the QR code above my head, and you can be on the University of Michigan golf course alongside University of Michigan's greatest wide receiver, Braylon Edwards, at the Randy Wise Automotive Team Celebrity Golf Tour.
And let me tell you about Zariq's. Zariq's Crispy Chicken and Pizza is taking over Michigan, known for the quality hand-battered, hand-breaded chicken tenders, delicious chicken sandwiches, New York-style pizza, and the best biscuits in the game. They just opened a location in Madison Heights, so make sure you check it out or find a Zariq's near you. It's Zariq's.com. Zariq's. That's crispy.
What up, though? Welcome back to the World of Heavyweights live on sports.com. I'm Easy, joined by Spinmo Rax.
Hello.
Young Chris, Nicholas Kohloff, a.k.a. Microwave Mario.
Let's go.
A.k.a. Sar Thompson's biggest enemy within the city.
Am I talking to Jaden Ivey's biggest hater?
No, I'm not. I've said positive things about Jaden Ivey all the time. We're joined by Zariq, a bully ball too. Make sure you guys smash that like button, be a friend, tell a friend, share the stream. I asked the Duran stuff because, like, again, I believe it was Brett Siegel from Clutch Points reported that he may be on the move for, I guess. I just don't feel like we're in the position to acquire said score, especially before seeing, like, if JB can make this young core work. I don't know what the timeline is to figure that out. If it's just, pull a plug at the deadline, probably just give up on it and acquire those assets he talked about. But Duran's, the reason why it pissed me off so bad is I truly believe that's a guy that has, like, a high ceiling. And I get that we've been kind of disappointing the defense, particularly with him, but he's only 20 years old.
Yeah.
I went back and I looked at Giannis's numbers, and I get he was literally foreign to basketball until teenage years. Giannis actually picked up the ball and started playing. But it wasn't until he turned 23 that he started to show a little bit more of that defensive prowess, the IQ, footwork, etc. Same age as Duren. I feel like there's still a ceiling. I'm not ready to give up. And I saw someone comment on the show. They said, okay, what about Stanley Johnson? What about Naboya? What about Killian? Like those guys had the same amount of time to develop. I think Duren's a better player than those guys. All of them. Am I tripping? Like,
no, I don't think you're tripping at all. I think Duren is someone who has immense potential. I think anybody who watches Jalen Duren can see that. I think he's just a big question mark right now, though. I think it's like, yes, he's good at these things, but until Asar Thompson, we all know, can't shoot the three ball, right? If he shoots the three ball, this team is pretty, like, it adds a decent amount of, wins. Like, I think that helps. I think if Jalen Duren becomes an above average defender, that changes the ceiling of this team way more than an Asar Thompson shooting lead would have this year. Just because when you look at those first 3 games of the season last year, Jalen Duren was a really impressive defender.
Showtime Pistons are fun.
Showtime's Pistons are fun. Detroit basketball is back, as Bleacher Report once said. Man, that was that went down, bro.
What a time.
Yeah, man, that was. But anyways,
French Connection.
Sorry. What a time that was.
That was crazy.
But no, Duren is someone who had a huge impact on defense that led to the Pistons kind of getting those types of attention, right? Like they got that tweet. It was because he was playing that role, and once he went down with injury, immediately is when the losing streak started.
Yeah.
I think after he got back, part of those defensive struggles were because maybe he was trying to be cautious of the ankle injuries, right? Because like since his rookie year, he's dealt with ankle injuries.
Yeah.
Maybe that was him trying to figure out how to continue to play without getting injured.
That's a great point.
So I think this year, if he can really show consistent defense, interior defense, because I don't think we really need him. It would be great if he could be a perimeter defender, but if he can be a really above average, that's not even saying good, above average interior defender, the ceiling of this team changes a whole lot. So I think, it's not crazy to say he's better than any of the guys previously. I think he's probably one of their highest ceiling guys next to like Cade, Holland. I think those are all guys who have really immense ceilings. Cade, you're already kind of seeing it, right? Like I think there's only like smaller steps to take now with Cade.
Yeah.
Duren kind of has to take a big leap in terms of defense. And if he does do that, a lot of doors open.
And that's what I said yesterday about like Cade being, he played an all-star level last year. It was just the supporting cast around him was so abysmal that he didn't really get the significant numbers that you really wanted to see.
Also the turnovers.
But having Duren taking that step forward now with adding the multiple 38+% three-point shooters in this lineup could turn you into a potential, fight. I hate to say it because I've been saying it for the past 3 years, but fighting for that play-in type team. And I think when I look at JB Bickerstaff, could he bring that out of Duren, seeing what he did with guys? I know obviously Evan Mobley, he projected to be a better defender than he is right now, but he still brought some of that out of him, and Jared Allen was already Jared Allen. But could JB Bickerstaff kind of help Duren mold into a better defensive player?
I think so. I think that's absolutely like kind of the goal here, right? And I also I couldn't help but notice you said the playing thing. I was watching the show yesterday.
Yeah,
you were really.
I did not want to say it. Dude.
You didn't want to get burned again. It's on wax now, though.
I know.
Yeah, you guys are crazy for that.
But no, I think looking at Evan Mobley, Jared Allen didn't really need the defensive teaching, but I think he did improve right in Cleveland. He became an all-star in Cleveland.
Yeah,
I think a lot of things happen under circumstance, and a lot of things are dependent on environment. If you have an environment that, sure, the Pistons don't have a team full of defenders now, right? They have more of an offensive based team. They have a lot of shooting on their team, but that doesn't mean the culture couldn't be leaning towards defense, right? Like it doesn't mean that JB still doesn't emphasize defense. Even in his presser yesterday, he emphasized, hey, like it's great if you score this many points a game. If you're not having a defensive culture, if you don't have a solid defensive identity, you're not going to win anything. Yeah. All the best teams in the NBA have some sort of defensive identity. Even the Golden State Warriors, one of the greatest offense of all time, Draymond played a huge role, and that's defense, right? So I think having Duren with someone like JB is going to be huge for him. And it's kind of the same thing as Ivy. It's like, okay, if it doesn't happen this year, not saying like if it doesn't happen this year, it won't happen at all, because at the end of the year, he'll be 21 years old, which is ridiculous. But if he's not showing any improvement defensively, I don't think we can be like, okay, well, they sucked, or well, the coaching, or, you know, all these other things. I think now after this year, you're like, okay, if he doesn't take that leap defensively, then maybe the Pistons need to go out and maybe push him towards the bench and go and get a center who can improve their defense, improve their interior defense. Because I think this will be a really telling year for Duren.
Yeah. Chris?
And another thing I wanted to bring up about the presser that I thought was very important, maybe even the most important part of it, was him talking about changing, JB talking about changing the entire energy in the building, not just when they're playing, but just when he's there. And as somebody that's going to be around and going to be in that situation, and obviously you've been through the other regimes, so I'm going to lean on you, our guys like Kool-Aid that are in the building, to really keep it honest with us. And if there's a different energy in that building, not on game day, just day in and day out, in practice facility too, then I think that's the biggest sign of, okay, this team is actually heading in the right direction. Because right now, we like the moves Trajan's making. We like what JB is saying. But I think that's the big key. That was my biggest takeaway from the presser.
That was mine too. I came away feeling the energy JB kind of has is infectious. Like you can tell he really just wants
Four-letter word?
Aura. he really just wants to get at it, right? Like he really just wants to hit the ground running, get these guys going in practice, and get an environment going. I can't help but compare it, and this might sound like, you know, I'm sipping the Kool-Aid, and I'm not, but I can't help but compare energy-wise to kind of Dan Campbell, where it's like there's a lot of, you know, testosterone going around the building.
Yeah.
You know, like you feel amped, you feel ready to go at it.
Yeah.
JB was talking about how he wants the guys to be dogs, and he all this other stuff, but at the same time, he's like, we also have to know that, like, we're representing Detroit and we're representing this identity. Yeah. And he referenced the 04 Pistons, and he was talking about defense, right? Like, I think all those things are really important. I think the most important thing he said, and that was the biggest takeaway to me, because every time someone new comes to Detroit, they always gloat about how amazing the facilities are, right?
Yeah.
JB goes, the facilities are nice, but the people in them is what's going to make this thing going. And I thought that was incredibly telling of how he views not only basketball, but just building a team. Because a team is more than just what happens during the 82 games, right? Yeah. A team is a culture. A team is a group of guys that want to play not only for themselves, but for each other, for the city, fit a culture, right? If you have a unified identity, if you have that sort of camaraderie, that gets things going, right? To where guys aren't playing for themselves, where they start taking bad shots and they start, you know, doing all the bad habits that we kind of started seeing this year. If you can start seeing guys looking to hype up the other guys who maybe don't score as much at end of games if they're up, you know, things like that, like the junkyard dog chain that they did in Cleveland. Yeah. If they have traditions like that, it really helps build a culture. And culture maybe seems like overused word in sports, like we just talked about. Oh, culture.
You want to know why though? It's a thing.
It is.
It's a real thing.
Yeah. It is.
Like a lot of the corny stuff you hear, the sayings you hear, whatever. I can't think of the word I want to use for it, but like they're there for a reason. They're passed on for a reason, right? Like they work.
Yeah.
It becomes corny because it feels monotonous and you hear it all the time.
Like the heat culture. Everybody jokes about that, but that's a real fucking thing.
It's a real. That's why those words are used. And yeah, I agree. I mean, it's back to like when he and Trajan were kind of he's poking fun at Trajan. Yeah, as soon as Trajan gets me some more like talent to work with, like it's.
Trajan always
they had some solid dap ups, by the way.
He always looks pissed off when he's up there at the press conference. I don't know. I feel like he's super intense, dude.
You know, it's interesting because like maybe on TV it seems that way, but like in person, Trajan just kind of seems like
he seems chill.
He seems chill. He seems super laid back and super like even the way he talks about. Well, you know, Easy, we approach this in a very interesting way. You know what I mean? Like he's very chill, but
he feels transparent too.
Like, He's very clear.
Or Troy just try to sell you a dream every time. We're competing this year.
Remember when Troy dropped the Holly Berry bar and we were all
I'll never forget that.
I was so hyped.
That was a bar though. I know that still was a bar.
No one ever dropped more bars than Troy Weaver, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of that was trying to convince himself too.
Yes.
You know, like I feel like yes, you're trying to convince a fan base to buy him, but I think he had to convince himself, right?
Yeah.
Because we all know the factions and all these other things that went into decision making. I don't know if he ever fully had a team he completely believed in where he bought into it.
And he's trying to. I mean, you've seen him pick up Sadiq Bey and Marvin Bagley. He's trying to bring them back
together.
I saw something where it said the Wizards are interested in getting Evan Fournier too, which you know,
I'm sure they are.
But back on the culture thing, really quickly, like even I like growing up playing sports, the difference in how I felt playing under a coach who kind of just yells at you all the time, or a coach who kind of just is like, you know, harder on the guys versus a coach who is maybe, I'm not trying to say
intent and direction.
Yeah, not saying he's a pushover, but the guy who takes more time to know you, the guy, versus you, the player, versus what you can do for him. When they start getting to know you, when they start getting to know the things that you like and the things that make you who you are, your play improves.
Yeah.
I can't emphasize that enough. Like, there's so many times where, like, I mean, I quit playing football in 9th grade because of culture, right?
Yeah.
Like, I just didn't feel like it was the right environment for me. And at that point, I just felt discouraged to play.
I know what school you went to, too. They use kids like numbers. They're just
man.
a number to people.
Yeah, so, like, the fact that, like, if I were in a different environment, I might not have ever quit football. I might not ever quit playing sports, just because when you're young, and this is still a young team, let's be honest, your feelings are pretty sensitive, right? Like, you don't have a full...
There's a lot of insecurities.
Yeah, you don't have a full identity. You don't have a complete identity of yourself. So when you have someone kind of guiding you along the way who can kind of get you as a person and as a player, the results show.
And before we let you go, we talked about it a little bit, you know, throughout the day. We talked about it yesterday. We see them add 2 shooting guards. We see them add 2 forwards. They drafted another defensive wing. Really, the only position they didn't attack was that backup point guard spot. I don't know if they have faith in Marcus Sasser or if they are doing a Jaden Ivey situation there, but for the Pistons fans who could never see that happening in a million years, could you see them, if they move on from Stu or somebody like we were talking about, going after another veteran point guard? We talked about Tyus Jones or somebody like that, or is this roster set how it's going to be?
So I was just talking with one of my friends earlier, and we were saying, like, if they get Tyus Jones, like, that would be like a pretty much perfect offseason for them, right?
It really would.
I don't know right now. Like, it's really hard to tell. I think if you had asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have said getting a veteran backup point guard would be a priority for them. At this point, I don't really know. I think looking at the roster, how it currently is constructed, it makes the most sense to play Jaden Ivey as that backup point guard.
Yeah.
I think that's really where he can thrive and where he can kind of create. And then you can also finish games with Caden Ivey. It isn't always about starting with Caden Ivey, right?
Yes.
So I think it would make sense for them to get someone who maybe, I guess, if they really do believe in Ivey as the backup point guard, maybe even getting a third string guy who can kind of teach Cade and Ivey will do wonders. Because, I mean, you look at last year, Monte Morris, for all, you know, he's good at, I don't really know if he had much of an impact because he was here for like half a season, right? And he was expecting to play, and, you know,
the injuries and
yeah,
stuff like
that just was what it was. Before that, the best backup point guard Cade Cunningham has ever played with is Corey Joseph.
Shout out
Kojo, Pistons legend. But like,
thank you, that's Corey Joseph.
but like, if you can go and get someone who has played at a high level and can understand where these guys are coming from and teach them, kind of almost, if they could get because I don't know what they're doing with the backup point guard role. So if they really, it is Ivy. If they can just get someone who's like the point guard equivalent of what Taj Gibson was for the center position this last year,
bring back Andre Miller.
Something like that's a huge win for them, where they can get someone who, okay, I was in your position once.
Yeah.
Here's how you cut down on turnovers. Here's how you do all these other
Jared
things.
Jack. I feel like he should be able to get that part down.
I mean, yes, coaches. Also, Jared Jack, cool ass dude.
Jared
Shout
Jack's
out to
the
him.
man, yeah.
Did he think you were Jalen McCain?
Yes, yeah. Well, I think it was the Ron Holland press conference. I was like walking by him. He's like, "Man, I thought you were Jerry McCain. I was like, yep, I get that.
Is that gonna grow out the stash a little bit?
Yeah, that Jalen Green. I'm sure that's at least one time in the comment section already. No, but I mean, Jarrett Jack is also someone great to learn from. But at the same time, when it comes to teaching, I think, especially with young guys, it always helps to have a guy who's on the team too that you can learn from, because then that guy can still suit up, right?
Or at least on the court.
Yeah,
Do you always see LeBron talking to,
like
guys
that's the
over?
reason Udonis Haslem had a job way past his like playing abilities really being needed, right?
Yeah.
Like having a guy on the team who can kind of serve as a teacher, I think is a really important voice to have in that locker room.
And do you guys think they're ready for that superstar as reported in that thing by Clutch Points? Or
Like
not
a Brandon
superstar,
Ingram?
I'm sorry, a scorer.
Oh,
Like a Brandon Ingram.
I don't
Brandon
think Brandon Ingram fits well with the roster construction right now.
Yeah.
Like you've got that kind of logjam at that big 3, small 4 position. But yeah, I just wanted to tap the other point you said. It makes sense. Like on paper right now on this roster, Jaden Ivey is your backup point guard.
Yeah.
Like, he is, unless you're saying Sasser is going to be that guy, but I don't think he's ready for that just yet.
Yeah, I don't either. I think in my opinion, I think Sasser's best used when he can just get points, when he
Yes.
can just score. And that is quite literally what a shooting guard does, right? So I think you can ease Sasser into a role where if he is playing backup point guard, he has someone next to him who can create. Like I think you always need someone next to Sasser who's more of a facilitator, who's more of a playmaker, because I think the best you're ever going to get from Marcus Sasser is when you get him to get buckets, because he's really good at getting buckets.
I love watching him.
He's got a bag. Like he's got an insane bag. When you can just let him do that, I think you're great. But yeah, I think right now Ivy does make sense as the backup point guard, and I think that like starting Malik Beasley over Ivy shouldn't be seen as a hot take.
No,
right now. Like I think that's
really not.
that's the best move for winning.
Look at the acquisitions. That shows you what they're planning on doing. Or
Yeah.
at least ideally in philosophy, that's what they think of. But Sweeney kind of trashed my question there. Do you think they're ready for that scorer to put along Cade, as reported?
It sounds like Homer-ish because we've said it a bajillion times, like, oh, we have to see what we have or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, it is kind of a new team. You know, you do have to see what you have before you add a Brandon Ingram. Like, Tobias Harris is not going to be an all-star, right? But I think he can probably be, for what you're going for this season, a second option. I think he can be a decent second option on offense. He averaged 17 in Philadelphia this last year as like third option a lot of times. Like it was Embiid, it was Maxey, and then it was him, or maybe it was even Kelly Oubre sometimes, right? I think having Tobias this year, seeing how that fits with Cade before adding another ISO scorer like a Brandon Ingram will do a lot for you. I'd rather, if they do want to go out and get a scorer, you already got 3-and-D guys. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what you were going for. So I would rather see what Cade can do with all these 3-and-D guys versus Cade and another ISO scorer, or Cade and a mid-range guy.
We kind of saw what he could do with an ISO when he had Jeremy Grant, at the end of his first year when they really started to click and they started playing ball pretty damn well. What's saying Ron Holland can't turn into Jeremy Grant,
100%.
and be that guy going forward? So,
like, I don't get me wrong, I really like Brandon Ingram. Like, I know we're saying him as like the example. Like, again, I don't really think that's going to happen.
It's a fit though.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think I look at Brandon Ingram and the Pistons position where they're at right now as he's not this guy that's that essential to get to me where I'm trading for him and then re-sign him. I'm cool with, like you said, playing out this year, seeing how Tobias fits, seeing how all of these new additions fit around Cade, and then deciding if a guy like Brandon Ingram's worth it. I mean, if a guy like Donovan Mitchell or Booker are on the market, those are guys that I'm more confident, one, in their fit with Cade, and two, obviously their talent level. But I see Brandon Ingram as a guy where the Pistons are in a position where they can let that play out in New Orleans because it doesn't seem happy there. So it seems like if he doesn't get traded, then he's just a free agent straight up next season. So I think the Pistons can kind of slow play that Brandon Ingram thing because Tobias and who's the other contract we just signed will be expiring. What's that?
Paul Reed.
Paul Reed, yeah, they'll be expiring next year. So I mean, you can easily create the Brandon Ingram cap space for next season if you need to.
Yeah, I think also with Ingram is like, I like him a lot. if you get him, you kind of are under the expectation that you're going to have him as a long-term piece. So what does that mean for an Asar Thompson? What does that mean for a Ron Holland? Like long-term, how are they going to get minutes? You know, so I think right now it makes the most sense. If you're going to go out and get a guy, it'd probably be a center who can play like defense. I should say a taller center who can play defense, or maybe a veteran point guard who can solidify that second unit if Ivy's not the backup point guard. I think those are more the moves you'd probably make at this point, rather than going out and getting like a Brandon Ingram, going out and trading for like one of those types of guys.
I really like the fit they have now with if you put a guy like Beasley as your shooting, spot up shooter at 2, Tobias is a guy who can stand in the corner and shoot at 4, and then at 3 you could put what Ron Holland hopefully will be, which is like I said, like a Jeremy Grant or a Mikal Bridges, who's a guy who can do some isolation work, can beat people off the dribble, and is also a great defender. I think that's the perfect kind of scrum of players to put around Cade, personally.
Yeah, I agree.
Nick?
Yeah, before or last time we had you on, you were talking about the Tobias Harris signing, and it actually came true. I know the writing was on the wall a little bit, but to get Hardaway Jr. and Beasley, actual pros, added to this young team, like I love to see that, but the expectations rise with that. And I know the expectations are so low because we had the worst record, franchise history, 28 games, all of that. But I'm starting to buy in what I'm hearing right now and what I'm seeing from this front office a little bit. I don't want to be super optimistic, but I am right now. Where do you see a win total kind of range going into this year if this is the final roster?
So I know a lot of people are like, oh, if we get to 25, 28 wins, that's a huge win, right? Yes, compared to last season.
Exactly.
It is. But if you look at Cade's rookie year, I believe he won either 23 or 24 games. If Detroit comes out this year and wins 25 games, it's like, what, a 1-2 game improvement from Cade's rookie year, and you have a much better roster. I think with Pistons fans and with the discourse around the Detroit Pistons, a lot of it is really biased because we're so burnt from the last few years of Detroit Pistons basketball.
I couldn't stay playing last year.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah. So I think if you just take out the context of what was and you look at what is, this is a team I can say on paper is better than Washington. That's one team in the East. I could say this team is better than Charlotte. That's another team in the East. I could say this team is probably better than, actually definitely better than Brooklyn as is right now. That's another team in the East. You could make an argument this team is better than Toronto. And I don't think Chicago's prioritizing.
Chicago's gonna blow something up,
I don't think Chicago's prioritizing winning basketball games this year.
Yep.
That's 5 teams. That leaves you as the 10 seed.
Let's go.
You know what I mean? I think a 30 to 36, 37, I don't think that's crazy. I don't think that's a crazy expectation.
Let's go. I said 33 yesterday.
I said I would be happy with doubling your win total. And, doubling your win total, you do that, I'm happy. And it sounds like crazy, but then you're like, oh, they only had 14 wins, so it's not too crazy.
No, I think a lot of expectations are based around how last season went. It was really bad. Everybody knows that. But it's also not the same team. It's not the same organization as it was last year. Everything has changed, basically. You have a whole new rotation of guys who, Tobias Harris, third option on a playoff team.
Yep.
Tim Hardaway Jr., I know everybody brings up that he got benched at the end of the playoffs. Still was a starter for the playoff run this year. Was a starter the year before. He had a long-term piece, played a lot of playoff games in Dallas.
Yep.
You add a Malik Beasley, who was a playoff piece in Milwaukee, in Los Angeles, in Denver. Minnesota. He helped them get to the play-in for the first time, right? And then you also just added a Paul Reed, who, isn't going to change, shake the world or anything like that, but he's just turning 25 years old.
Better than fucking James Wiseman.
Yeah.
Objectively
better than James Wiseman. So those are 4 NBA players you've added to your rotation that are kind of already proven versus having guys like Killian Hayes, guys like James Wiseman, guys like Evan Fournier, guys like Malachi Flynn who got minutes. I think having consistency in how your roster is constructed is a huge win. Yes. And I think if you look at this team, we can say it makes basketball sense, and that's something we haven't been able to say, I don't even know how long.
Yeah.
For the show, man, consistency, that's something I think Pop always kind of had, is you he had that system. And the guys coming off the bench are just lesser versions of the starters.
Yeah.
It's the consistency of that roster structure. You run all the same plays. Nothing like no much is changing, I guess, extreme. But Zariq, I appreciate you joining us. For anybody who wants to catch more of your content, where can they find you, man?
You can find me at Zariq Xavier on all of my socials. You can find Bully Ball at Real Bully Ball on all of our socials, and then also at www.bullyball.net for our website. And then we also have a Substack we're starting where we're going to have some podcast content on there, a lot of written content on there. So we'll have a lot of things going. And then also our YouTube is also at Real Bully Ball. Anything Bully Ball is at Real Bully Ball. I do photography, I do videography, I do videos, I do pretty much anything, written content, you name it, I do it. Mostly Detroit Pistons related right now. Although I did a camp a few weeks ago, or it might have been over a month ago, with some Lions players, which was pretty cool. So,
okay.
I'm starting to spread my wings a little bit, but yeah, I try to make really good content, and if you like that, then come give us a follow.
Hell yeah, I appreciate you taking time.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you. Without further ado, tell you what Jaden Ivey is his team. He's the backup. He's the insurance. I'm sorry, I'm taking shots. Swiss Insurance, however, is the best in the game. Contact my guy Mark directly, Mark at SwissINS.com, or give him a call at 313-530-1698. That's 313-530-1698. Again, that's Swiss Insurance.
The Youth Football League in Metro Detroit. It is the best. The Boys and Girls Club of Southeastern Michigan's 3C Sports League offers youth ages 5 to 14 exciting teams to choose from in Detroit, Belleville, Highland Park, and East Point. All coaches are trained, certified, and undergo background checks. Register for football or cheer at bgcsm.org. Equipment, meals, transportation, and the chance to play at Ford Field for the championship for just $175 per child. Put the youth back in youth sports.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists. Enjoy a precision haircut, hot lather neck shave, scalp and neck massage, and a hot towel treatment to top it off. Enter for your chance to win the $50,000 Perfect Bracket Challenge. With more than 25 Metro Detroit locations, there's always a Lady Jane's near you. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
So just to get the heated steering wheel, I also had the spring for the bigger rims.
Yeah, that's how they get you. Those upgrades will cost you an arm and a leg every time.
Hey, new car crew, how'd it go this weekend? I got a great deal on mine.
How?
I went to Randy Wise, not those other guys. They got me in a great new ride, and they didn't break my budget. Hey, could you pass me the sugar?
How? Never mind.
He made the wise choice.
Yep.
Make the wise choice at randywisechevy.com.
Mark White gonna do you right.
Mark White gonna change your life
by getting you a new home and saving you.
Getting
you a new home and saving you. Shaving you. Up to $5,000 on said new home and closing costs. Give him a call, 248-290-8242. It's 248-290-8242 or visit them at markwhitesales.com.
And let me tell you about Les Stanford. What happens when you run a great business for over 40 years? You expand and offer more products to more people. That's exactly what Les Stanford did by adding Les Stanford Buick GMC, the same great service to customers have come to know and trust on Woodward Avenue, just south of 9 Mile. Check out Les Stanford in Dearborn today. Find the brand you want at lesstanford.com. Les Stanford together. Let's ride.
What up, welcome back to Whatever Waits Live on WoodwardSports.com. I'm Easy, joined by Spinmo Rex, young Chris, Nicholas Kohloff.
Let's go.
Caleb in the building. He hates us. It's very proven now, very evident. 3 days, no pizza.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
beautiful
fucked,
day.
honestly.
Beautiful day out, no rain.
Friday, he's grabbing the Nooners.
Yes, sir.
All right, fair trade.
My man.
I'm not gonna lie, I partook before the show. It kind of got me a little bit. I like have a thought or take a question during the whole Zariq thing, and I'd be like space out, listen to him completely gone. Not even close. But I appreciate Zariq stopping by.
Zariq's the man.
But it's time to talk about the number one sport in the city. The best team in the city. The Detroit Lions. Lion! The Detroit Lions are in the conversation again because Jeffrey Fowler has been doing his position rankings. Jeremy Fowler has been doing his position rankings, going across the league, talking to different scouts, executives. And today was the safeties. And I'd like to know, where did Brian Branch pop up? He had to be on the list, or at least in the mention, man.
Fellas, we got 3 really good young safeties on this Detroit Lions team, if you want to classify Branch as a safety, which they did in this list. But Jeremy Fowler put out his top 10 safeties. There's some honorable mentions, and then there's other that received votes. And I'm going to go through some of these, and I want to know from you guys, would you take Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, or Ife Melifanu over any of these players?
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good?
Sounds good.
All right, we're going to start with Justin Simmons, the free agent.
Yes.
Yes.
Who?
I would take
all of them.
Over Justin Simmons?
Yes.
Yeah.
Justin Reed. Sticking with another Justin here.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Am I tripping?
Yeah, you would? Baltimore's own Marcus Williams. Where you at with that?
No.
You would take Williams over him?
Yeah.
Yeah, take a Marcus Williams.
Easy's rival. Coming from Philadelphia, CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Yes, they all started over him.
Besides in that NFC Championship game, sadly.
Are you telling me Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's on this list?
I'm asking you a question. If you would take Gardner-Johnson over any of our safeties?
No, I would not.
Is Chauncey Gardner-Johnson on this? Is he on the list?
Just wait, man.
Is he? No. Because we, like you Spinny just said,
he's an honorable mention.
Okay. Whew. I was gonna lose it.
Honorable mention at number 7.
I was gonna lose it. Yeah, because like Spinny said, he was on this team with these players.
Yep.
And he had, not due to his own fault, but he had taken a backseat.
He's just a yapper.
Just a yapper.
Just a yapper.
Would you Yapper boy?
Exactly. Would you take him over Kyle Duggar of New England?
No.
Different safety position in that situation too, but no, Kyle Duggar's a dog.
Guy that is in LA, Derwin James.
If he's healthy, I'm taking Derwin James over them, but he can never stay healthy.
Derwin James is
Derwin James is one of, if not the best safety in the league, if he can stay healthy.
He's one of my favorite guys to watch.
Yeah, he is
He
electric.
just can't. He can never stay healthy. It sucks.
Javon Holland.
No, I'm not.
Javon Holland is 2 Pro Bowl years under his belt now. He's pretty fucking solid for that back end of Miami. Yeah, no.
Yeah, we're getting to the point on this list, fellas, where I don't think anyone's touching at number 1, Antoine Winfield Jr. You guys have any issue with that?
He's not my number 1.
And I believe your number 1 is number 2, Kyle Hamilton of the Baltimore Ravens.
Yes.
I think he has taken the number 1 spot as
I
well,
agree.
Svenmo.
Dude, shout out to Easy. Kyle Hamilton's the best safety.
Someone call it.
And, I mean, if you guys really want to say it, should we ask the question here?
What?
Is that a miss on Brad Holmes' part, taking Jameson Williams over Kyle Hamilton?
Ooh.
I know it's deep right now. It's the end of the show, fellas, but is it?
I mean, I think it's fair to say, yeah. Kyle Hamilton's hands
All
down
pro
better player,
safety.
Yeah, for sure.
He recovered nicely with Kirby Joseph, and he's a very good player as well. So I'm not abusing him for it, but yeah, if you were doing a redraft, you 100% would invest
Kyle
in Kyle
Hamilton's
Hamilton.
going top 3 if
yeah.
you do a redraft.
Yeah.
Definitely on that top 10, top 5, yeah.
No doubt. Yeah, that was a great player. And then you got Jesse Bates and Minka Fitzpatrick.
Ryan Hamilton says Kyle Hamilton is my cousin from Notre Dame. Shout out.
Shout out Ryan Hamilton.
Jesse Bates at 3, Minka Fitzpatrick at 4.
Jesse Bates
Any
is
problem
dog.
with that? Would you put Minka above him or no?
No, I don't have a problem with that. I like Minka a lot, but Jesse Bates has been playing off his fucking mind the past couple of years.
Jesse Bates is one of the best safeties in the league.
So then it goes 5 Holland, 6 Buda Baker, 7 Derwin James, 8 Duggar, 9 is where Hufanga comes in, and 10 McKinney. Green Bay's newest member to that secondary, Xavier McKinney.
I think Kirby's every bit of a safety that McKinney is, at least projected to be that.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. A lot of names you said there, I feel like all our guys project to be what they are, if not better. That's why I would have taken him over him. McKinney, I mean, we'll see. He's a good spot in Green Bay, but
I like McKinney a lot. I don't have a problem with that list.
So
maybe I'm putting Derwin James and Kyle Duggar over Buda Baker. That's probably what I would do.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. And all those names I asked previously, if they were better than a Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, all of those guys were in the honorable mention along, Chris, with our guy, Brian Branch.
Let's go.
And here's what they say about Brian Branch. Branch had a standout rookie season. He recorded 74 tackles and 3 interceptions. His natural coverage ability has natural coverage ability, so that allows him to play in the slot or over the top. He's also an instinctive player that has a knack for finding the ball and making plays in both phases, an NFC personnel evaluator said.
Would you guys have him? I think the top 10's pretty solidified. I think Brian Branch.
I don't think he did enough to crack that top 10 just yet. I think he will this year.
We just one more time, just 10 through like 7.
McKinney, Hufanga, Duggar, and Derwin James in that order from 10 down.
Wow, yeah, it's tough to crack.
Yeah, he's not
taking Brian Branch over
those guys. Yeah.
McKinney. I mean, there's two different safeties as well, but
yeah.
By the way, for the
Safeties
people
are
who
stacked.
think he is going to be playing slot again or in the nickel spot again, who are just stomping their feet over it, even though we've talked to the likes of Alex Anzalone and Dan Campbell's already made statements on it. The fact that he's on this list is an honorable mention. I think is another telltale sign. You're going to see Brian Branch at the safety position, maybe Meek Robinson at the slot, or perhaps a rookie. And it's Raxter, yeah.
Damn, I mean, could you imagine if Arnold and Raxter are just both dogs coming out of it like this year, like that? You've solidified two cornerback spots. Also,
in fairness, I don't expect it, but yeah.
In this also receiving votes list, do you guys expect any Lions here?
Kirby should be in there.
Brian Branch.
No,
Well,
Brian Branch
is an
honorable mention. We
Okay.
got Ife Melifonwu
Okay.
making the also receiving votes list.
I know Spingy
Does
is a doubter.
this surprise you guys?
I know my guy Spingy over here is a doubter, but I've always believed. I think Vontae Melifonwu proved himself last year.
So
I don't know.
he's going to start on this team.
I think you have a situation where he can maybe even play that nickel spot as well. Don't forget, he's a former quarterback in himself.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he had a hot stretch of games for sure.
I mean,
Again, if you expect him to be that guy that we saw in those stretch of games consistently over 17 games, then he will be your best player on defense and he should start over everybody.
I think
because that's what it would be if he had that production consistently throughout a year.
And we're going to talk about it more obviously during camp, and it's going to be a beaten to a pulp and abused. But I think that is the biggest question mark on this defense. I'm fairly certain DJ Reader is going to be what he's always been.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain Jack Campbell's going to take that leap. I think you heard that from the coaching staff too.
Mhm.
It's just like that's going to be a tough one to bump out of there, especially if you're talking about having like your best players all on the field at once. Like Vontae Melifonwu proved at the safety position he is Pro Bowl caliber. I mean, he was truly amazing, and it would make the thing I think why they're trying to move. I already know why they're trying to move Branch to safety versus that slot position is because like they want him to roam freely.
Keep him on the field more too.
Keep him on the field more, roam freely. If he was so good, and obviously Branch can hold down that nickel spot too, so you don't have to force the move to safety.
No, that's what I say every time is that you keep Branch in the slot until they take the need for a slot off the field. But then Branch isn't the one to come out. If he's the one to come out, and you bump Branch back to safety.
But is he getting enough reps at safety at that point?
Yeah.
That they want him to develop. I mean, this is a whole second year at camp too, so yeah, I can see that.
Right now on Wax, who is a better player? You said you want your best players out there all the time.
I think Brian Branch is more cerebral to where like if Vontae Melifonwu needs the coaching to go out and execute, I think he didn't say that he needed the coaching, but when he talked about those highlight plays he made last year on the podcast, we played the clip. He had mentioned, hey, I was in the office with AG for 30 minutes to 2 hours, and him explained to me he wants me to do this and these certain looks.
Mhm.
And obviously he went out there and executed those certain looks. And now he's getting honorable mentions of some of the best safeties in the league. So now I think with Brian Branch is more, you can put him out there and yeah, you gotta have this conversation with him as a coach and before the game, but he just has that feel for it.
I also think this could be a spot because it is executives, other coaches and whatnot, where Kirby maybe gets a little disrespected around the league when it comes to going low on players. And that's because he's going to get fined, as he said before in that interview, if he goes high on people. He has 8 picks, 19 passes defended, and 164 tackles within his first 2 years.
Yeah.
Those are dog numbers. You add an upgraded D-line. Spenny's been talking about the interception numbers rising. I think Kirby is disrespected on this list, and I think they're going to look a little silly come the end of the year after he throws up a bunch of numbers.
Tell us about merch, Chris.
Merch.
Let me tell you where to get the flyest merch. Head over to woodwardsports.com, click that shop tab today, and get yourself some brand new merch. If you're tired of your old Detroit swag, upgrade it, get some new one. They got hoodies, tees, hats, all that guaranteed to turn heads. Head on over to woodwardsports.com, click that shop tab today.
Yeah.
Get yourself some brand new merch.
Congratulations to the real coach of the year, Motor City Dan Campbell.
Just put your head down and go to work. It's about to be fun, man. It's about to be fun.
Woodward Sports.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists. Enjoy a precision haircut, hot lather neck shave, scalp and neck massage, and a hot towel treatment to top it off. Enter for your chance to win the $50,000 Perfect Bracket Challenge. With more than 25 Metro Detroit locations, there's always a Lady Jane's near you. Lady Jane's Haircut for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Attention sports fans, don't miss out on expert sports injury insight with Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine. Join Dr. Pierce every Tuesday during BDE and Thursdays during Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, where he offers top-notch injury advice. Trust the guy that DMAC trusts. Dr. Jeff Pierce is here to keep you in the game and performing at your best. For more information, visit michigansportsandspine.com or call 248-426-9944.
So do you not believe in Afonso Melifonwu? Like, do you think that was just a fluke?
I don't think it's a fluke, but I think it's asking a lot to expect him to produce the way he did in that 5-game sample size throughout a whole season. I think if you expect him to do that, you expect him to be a defensive player of the year, because that's what he would be if he produced like that for an entire season. And I don't think that's a reasonable expectation.
I think it's a reasonable expectation. Not to the point where
a reasonable expectation is defensive player of the year.
You're kind of putting like a crazy stamp on it, but I think he definitely could play phenomenally well throughout the entirety of his season if he could stay healthy.
I would rather have Brian Branch on the field. When it comes down to it, if I have to make a choice between the two, I would rather have Brian Branch on the field.
Well, that's why I was saying before the break too. I think that with Brian Branch, it's less coaching, more reliability. He played that, I think they call it a star position in Alabama, where he kind of free float and do whatever he needs to do. Versus like again, AG. The week prior, calling him in and giving him, telling me certain looks, Brian Branch can go out there and find him. And maybe for Afonso Melifonwu to give him some bail, as Chris likes to say, maybe it's because the safety position is new to him and he's not, familiar with those looks and, how to master manipulate him like Mr. Morale. But yeah, I really do think he can play at that level. I know I'm not the only one now that he's been on this list from executive scouts as an honorable mention. I'm not quick to dismiss what he did last year.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm not. It was a great sample size, but again, when it comes down to it, there are a lot of situations and a lot of formations where you'll only have one of the two of them on the field, and I would rather have Brian Branch.
Saw a comment in the Woodward Sports chat says, "No, easy. We believe in Iffy. We just need more than 7 games." He gave it to you in the playoffs too. If he was there in the playoffs as well, I don't know what more you guys need to see. He is a good football player. Caleb?
I don't think anyone's saying he's not a good football player.
Yeah.
He's just not as good as Brian Branch.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying, Spine. I'm a big Melifonwu guy. I obviously he's not going to get like close to a sack a game like he was doing.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah, but I mean he's still going to make a huge impact on the field when he's on the field. I mean he used to play corner in college. I think he could play a little bit of man too. We didn't really see it a lot last year.
Yeah.
I think he could play in the box because he's big, he's strong. He's a good tackler. I think he's going to be huge for this Lions defense this year. Obviously, he's not as good as Brian Branch, but I mean, I think he's going to be a big piece of this Lions defense.
For sure.
A sack and a half against Tampa Bay, a half a sack against the 49ers. He's pretty fucking good.
They deploy him in the right situation, it seems like, and he thrives in that. And he talked about it, or somebody talked about it in the clip, about like how Aaron Glenn gets you coming around the middle when the quarterback's looking the other way. He's got a free shot at you, and he seems to not miss it.
For sure. And I like when they use him. But like I said, I'm not saying trade Ife Melifonwu or he shouldn't play at all. But when it comes down to it, what did one of the best coaches, one of the best offensive minds in the NFL say? We did certain positions, certain formations to get Brian Branch off of the field, not to get Ife Melifonwu off of the field. So when it comes down to those situations, I would rather have Brian Branch out there than Ife. Ife's still going to get his playing times and get his spots, but I want Brian Branch to play 90% of their snaps next year. And if the reason that he plays 90 instead of 70 is because if he goes to 70% of the snaps, then I'm 100% comfortable with that.
They definitely have an embarrassment of riches and a great problem to have in their hands.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Very curious to see how they're all deployed.
Talk about embarrassment of riches and low numbers. Jackson Jobe got his ERA down to a 1.82 ERA. Throwing a gem right now. Let's go. One of the top right-handed prospects in baseball.
Love to see that. Well, that'll do it for us today. Appreciate y'all tapping into the Woodward Heavyweights. Make sure you smash the like button for Easy, for Nick, for Caleb, for Chris. Shout out Zariq for coming in, stopping by, chopping up some basketball. Follow Real Bully Ball and Zariq Xavier on all social medias. I am Spencer Raxter. We are the Heavyweights. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.
Weezy.
Peace.